Welcome everybody to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be digging into the topics to keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, grab an ice cold beverage, get comfortable, get ready to join the conversation. We had an awesome show over at After Hours. As always, Melinda Leslie came through and we touched on some real deep stuff as far as the mediumship goes. I mean, I don't think a lot of people had any idea that she delved into that. And this is something that she's been doing for a while. She was so excited to speak about it. You know, we talked beforehand after I interviewed her when I filled in for Dave Scott. And, you know, my whole thing is when I interview someone, I don't want to just paint them in the same picture that they're always seen in. You know, there's more to a person than what you know, what you've come to know about that person. So, you know, you may see her speak about my labs in various interviews. So I wanted to make sure that we got to see a different side of Melinda Leslie, and I think we did. I think we did that. It was a great time for me, and there's going to be many more to come. Melinda's like a real good friend to me now, and, you know, we're real good buddies. So if you didn't know, that's how I like to paint these interviews. You know, regardless if you've heard this person 1,000 times, when that person interviews with me, it's going to be a different experience. We're going to touch on things that maybe they're not used to touching on, or maybe ask questions that you're not used to hearing. So that's why I look forward to all these interviews going forward. And we do have a great guest tomorrow by the name of medium Valentina Marie. Very awesome. Can't wait to talk to her. So that's going to be awesome. Make sure you guys go to the After Hours tomorrow night to check that one out. We are raising the game at Spaced Out Radio. We are elevating the game. We are shifting, the direction of at least the After Hours. During the week is already locked in. You know, Dave Scott has that already locked in. But the After Hours is my baby, right? And it's something that I want to make sure has a good structure to it and is fun for the viewer. So we will continue to evolve that. And we have some surprises, actually. I guess I could say this here. Yeah, why not? So we're going to be having on Saturday nights in hour number 3, we're going to have a UFO person, just like we have Bree on Sundays. Hopefully, I don't know if she's going to be here this Sunday or not, but the plan is to have a paranormal person on Sunday and a UFO person on Saturday. So hour 3, first half of that hour every week, we'll have one of the two going in that slot. And then the last 30 minutes is going to be different things that we might do, as in myself and you, right? So a lot of great things planned. And then here at the Social Dig, we're going to get back to our regularly scheduled programming shortly. We'll still do these call-ins, but we're going to get back to the actual show format coming soon, probably starting with the Scientology video that we have coming up on the 24th. I want to get at least one of those videos out a week, and then also do this call-in, and then have the After Hours. So we're going to be rocking and rolling pretty soon here. Let me welcome everybody in who came in today, who are joining us tonight. And let's see who's... Okay, we got Maggie M10 with the gold. We'll give her the gold. We have Bim Jim, we'll give him the silver, and Magneticus Attractus with the bronze. And we got Lovey Love joining us. Thanks for coming, Lovey Love. We got Black Dragon. We have D Worm. Appreciate you. Says hello, night owls. Yeah, we definitely hang out and talk some stuff here on the late night calling show. So thank you for coming, D Worm. Look like a brand new name. Welcome. We have Majestic Diamond Jones, another new name. I totally appreciate you coming in. We have Magneticus Attractus. Thank you for coming. Race Fan, thank you for joining us. We have, let's see, Jessica S. Thank you for coming over. Susan Alloway, thank you for coming. Nikki, Angels Are Life, thank you for joining us over here at the late night calling show. Neil Warden, yes, I'm social digging. I love it. I love it. Thank you for coming over, Neil. Appreciate you. Susie B, thank you for coming. Oh, Susie B, you missed the ending. You got to go back and watch it. Awesome stuff. Joe Monk, thank you for coming. I can dig it. Love it. Christine G, it's Rob G. I hope you're feeling better and getting rest. Yes, feeling a lot better. Thank you for asking. Still a little dry, but my voice has been able to hang on, so I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah, Maggie, looking forward to Scientology. Me too. I want to get it off my chest. It's important for the people that are stuck in there, man, too. For as many people out there to be talking about this, just another topic, that matters to humanity. So, yes. Thank you for coming in. And I want to say, just starting out, and I'll probably say this again during the show. Last I checked, we were at about 292 subscribers over here at the Social Dig. So we're like 8 away from 3. If you have not yet subscribed out there, please consider subscribing. Let's get us over 3 so we can get on that road to 4. We have conversations that we hope are beneficial to viewers out there. And obviously, what you say matters. So when you get up on stage here and you talk about things that you are into, that actually helps out as well. And I would love to hear who's going to be first to jump into the conversation today. Yeah, Christine, love the watching Scientology documentary with Leah Remini and Mike Render. And it goes deep, man. Mike Render, and that's the caliber of person I would love to have join that conversation. So I'm still going to be working on trying to get somebody, with the name, one of the main characters in this conversation. They all matter though, but it would be great to have like a Mike Render, or Leah Remini, or there's a few others out there. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but it's a very important conversation to have. So, yeah, with that being said, any new people out there, lurkers, if you haven't joined the chat, please consider joining the chat. And then people in the chat, please consider joining the conversation. Yeah, Magneticus, you heard that gang stalk people, they do. I told a story about how my brother out in Santa Clara went by one of their Scientology centers out there. He just was passing by. And this is at a time probably 6 years ago when Leah Remini first was really pushing this anti-Scientology message. And, at that time they do something called, I think it's fair game, right? And we're going to talk about that during the show. But they actually, go out of their way to dig up information on you, find out who you are, and then pretty much slander you. They'll do things like they'll call your employer and say that you were involved with all these strange and weird things in an attempt to get you fired. They do a lot of wild, weird stuff, man. They are just completely weird over there. But we're going to talk about that during the show. I don't want to give up too much of it here tonight, but I'm sure that we won't be able to cover it all in that one show. So I'm trying to set it up to where there's probably going to be multiple Scientology episodes that we'll do. But yeah, I want to get back to producing, the normal show that we do here at the Social Dig as well. So those shows are coming down the pipeline. Like our news segment, right? Haven't done the news. We would, when we start the show, we normally come in with the news, our disclosure news. Yeah, so I miss my format, man. So we're gonna be putting that back together and getting the normal social dig shows back online now that we have after hours kind of going on, on a structured path. There's a lot of things that I cover here at the social dig that may be too deep, to attempt to pull off over a spaced out radio, based on, I don't want to have any sort of backlash from some of the things that we cover here to kind of go over there. So all the risky stuff we'll do over here on this channel. So let's see. With that being said, oh, that was loud. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. So here on Social Dig, if you ever watched any of the previous episodes, we start out with the news, and so we run that. We come in and give the week in disclosure news, whatever's been going on. Then we get out of the news, get into our main topic of the day. We have an Ask the Chat function here, which, let me bring this up here because we have to bring the number up anyways. So we have the viewer call and message line, but then, we would normally get into our disclosure news. Like here, this is old news here, but to give you an idea, we discuss some topics here. Then we get into the Ask the Chat, which this is Ask the Chat. Anytime you hear this,
Ask the Chat,
then it's time to ask the chat. Like in this particular case, are we still on track for confirmation? That's a relevant question even today. But we have this throughout the show. Then we would normally, once we're done with the news, we hop into our topic of the show. So this one was pushed for the moon, and we did all that. And we do something as well. Maybe I'll bring this up because this one never is irrelevant. So we get into a segment as well called yeah, Joe Monk, Scientology people are calling Dave right now. Exactly. And so I didn't finish that story. So let me finish the story real quick. So my brother, 6 years ago, he passed by Scientology Center. And so it was a big thing at the time. Leah Remini had just come out. And so he decided to kind of just pull over to the side of the road, like across from where the facility was. And kind of just sat there for a minute. I don't know if he took a picture of the facility or whether he just stopped, but he left. He was only there for a couple minutes. He left. And by the time he got home, which is probably about 10, 15 minutes away, when he pulled into his stall at his apartment complex, someone from Scientology who followed him home hopped out of their car and ran up to his driver's side window before he could get out the car and either hit the window or did some sort of aggressive thing and then kind of just left. But they're known to have private investigators and things that they sick on people, right? So they'll follow you, they'll get your information, they'll find out who you are, they'll dig into your past, your criminal history if you have one, anything that you have dirty in your past, they'll dig it up and they'll find it. And then they'll take that information, they'll use that to affect things that you have current day going on. So if you had a string of traffic tickets you never paid, and that's the worst thing you did, they'll take that information and they'll call your employer and say, hey, you're employing someone who doesn't pay their traffic tickets, and is that really what your company, do you really want that type of person representing your company? Then they push a line so hard they harass the employer to the point to where the employer considers letting you go to make it all stop, right? It's horrible. It's horrible. But normally what we'll do here on the show is we'll get into something called Once Upon a Time in Ufology. So during each show, we cover some history in ufology, right? And this is the graphic that we use for that. Kind of show you how we do it here. This is the music Magneticus hates, but this is what we run. So we'll run our science fiction or Once Upon a Time in Ufology, and then we'll jump into the topic, which in this case was the Gemini 4 UFO. So if you're familiar with that, we talk about that. We get into, some of the history that happens in ufology. We do this every episode. Then once we're done with that, we have a movie recommendation that we do, which is called Science Fiction to Science Fact Movie Edition. And so this is what we run for that. So we have Science Fiction to Science Fact Movie Edition, and for this particular episode that we had done for the moon landing, we recommended the movie Moonfall, right? And so the idea of Science Fiction to Science Fact movie is that some of these movies, this one is more current, but it usually would be a movie like Close Encounters, or some movie from 15 years ago, where when you initially watched it, you watched it under the belief that this was a science fiction movie. But now that we're in this new reality where we understand that all this stuff is real, now the recommendation is to go back and watch these movies, rewatch them with the new lens that you're looking through, and the movie feels different because now you understand that these things are real, so that these things happening in these movies are actually plausible, if not possibly currently happening. So that's how we usually do that, just to kind of give you a feel for the format of the show. And I kind of miss doing this, so we're going to definitely get back into doing this here pretty soon, man. This is what we do at the Social Dig, so yeah. But with that being said, let me go ahead and bring the number back up on the screen for the call-in tonight, which is 856-843-3444 or 856-THE-DIGG. Also, the link is in, the StreamYard link is in the chat. So you have to click on the link if you want to come up on stage. The phone number, which is open, and actually let me make sure that I have that line actually open, because I think it might be going to voicemail right now. That way you can just call the number and kind of chime in if you need to do so. Now let me get... Well, we got an incoming call right now.
Call from...
This is Jim from British Columbia.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, we have Jim from British Columbia. Jim, you're on the line. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine. Doing good.
All right. So I don't know if you're familiar with how we do this here. We just have you call in, and we would love to hear, I don't know if you've had any experiences or any wild stories that you could tell us, but you're definitely more than welcome to let us know what's on your mind.
Yeah, I've had a whole bunch of experiences, a whole bunch. and I'm an engineer originally, and I do environmental engineering, and I also have studied anthropology. I'm particularly interested in the old native knowledge, from the pre-writing knowledge, I call it. That you get it from the knowledge keepers, and they just talk, and you listen and you learn. I learned a lot from the indigenous people around the world. I've been to, I met Australian Aborigines and Inuit in the Arctic, and I haven't been to Africa, but I know a lot about the Bushmen of the Kalahari. They are magic people, man. They are wild magic people. I met a guy who lived with them, and he told me all about it. And yeah, so that's kind of my areas of knowledge and my paradigms. But then in experiences, oh my goodness, yeah, I've had a lot. I met some aliens. Let me see. I think six times I met this one guy. He's a tall white, and he comes to visit me. And two times he brought four grays with him, and these were the 5 foot 2 inch grays, which are the biological types, which are apparently have souls and whatnot. So he came to visit me, like I say, six times, and give me certain information. I think I've been working for these guys. I think that's what's going on because they keep interfering in my life. And at first I was annoyed at them. And I said, well, what are you doing here? Why do you come over here, man? What do you want me to do? What do you expect me to do? And when I said that to the tall white, he threw his head back and laughed at the sky. He thought I was funny. It's kind of like how I laugh at my neighbor's cat. It's in the same way. And I don't mind. I don't mind if there's somebody smarter than me. I'm okay with that. I do my job. I do simpler work. It's straightforward work, and so I do my environmental engineering, and then I also work in kind of sociology and just what else? The social sciences and social engineering and things like that. Try to do good. I just try to do good. Just I have basic morals and I follow those and try to do good. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, are you Dave?
No, I'm Rob G.
Oh, I thought I was on the air.
You are,
So I
yeah.
was just rambling.
You
Pardon
are
me?
on the air, yeah. Everyone, you guys can hear him, right?
Oh, what's your name?
Is Rob G.
Rob D?
G.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you perfectly well.
Yep.
But
G is in go.
maybe it's my own. I'm using a landline here, and it could be my own speaker. I'm not sure. Anyway, like I say, yeah, when I was 21 years old, I started having paranormal experiences, and first with ghosts, and I got to know that ghosts are real. Okay, big deal. I wasn't much interest. I don't like ghosts to this day. I don't want to interact with them. I have 3 times I've interacted with ghosts, and I don't care for them. But then I started having experiences, other experiences like my life was saved, and that really a paranormal incident saved my life. I would have died for sure, but I didn't die. And I started thinking, man, this is important. There's something really important going on here, eh? So then, when other things happened, I paid attention, and eventually, I learned telepathy. I learned that from the indigenous people, and I learned to communicate with animals mind to mind using images in my mind. And all this time, I was doing I was doing a bit of meditation and things like that, and so I kept learning more and more, and then I started meeting these aliens started popping up, right, and the tall whites, and he shows up with a big mask on his face, and he's using these screen images, which I knew about. I know about that because I learned it from the native people, and I can do it a little bit myself. I'm aware that humans can do a lot of these same things that the aliens do that we think are paranormal. I mean, like mind-to-mind communication. I mean, that's known to many indigenous peoples, and I know it's
Yeah.
true because I've tested it many times, and I've tested it with friends, and we've done experiments. You know, a friend of mine was very intuitive, and she and I did a bunch of experiments in non-local consciousness, including communication and making oneself invisible, and she did it, I did it, and she did it. I saw it happen in front of my eyes, so I know it's real. And I learned that from a native knowledge keeper guy. He told me, here's how you make yourself invisible. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'll try that one day. So one day I did try it, and it scared the heck out of a good friend of mine. I scared him so bad that he didn't talk to me for quite a few years, this guy, right? Because it scared him, because all of a sudden, from his point of view, he saw me appear from nowhere right in front of his eyes, right? And that scared the heck out of him. And I didn't mean to scare him. I really didn't. I was just testing it, you know. And then when I taught my friend how to do it, she did it in front of my eyes. So I've seen it, you know. It's and then after that, I never did it again because it does scare people, and I don't want to scare people so much, you know. And then I know another woman who's my sister-in-law, and she and I scared the heck out of my brother, unfortunately. So we got a triangle there. My brother and I with his wife. Okay, there's a triangle formed, and unfortunately, I was getting along very well with my brother's wife, and that disturbed him very much. And then Jill and I, that is the sister-in-law and I, we did a demonstration for my brother of this telepathy, and it scared the hell out of him. He started to shake, and I didn't want to harm my brother. I didn't want to hurt him, but he was hurt. So I am careful with that sort of thing, and um, I can find other telepathic people simply by sending out a message. And I met a number of people who were strangers to me, and I sent out a message, or they sent a message to me, and then we walk towards each other and we start talking, and we find out, oh yeah, we both have knowledge of these things, right? And so I've done a lot of experiments with telepathy, easily 100 successful experiments with other people, with animals, and my friend, Penny is her name, and she started up a school. She called it the Tribal Arts Free School. So it's about the indigenous knowledge, and neither one of us are native actually, but she started up this school, and she had me as one of the speakers, one of this, whatever you want to call us. And she actually one day called me introduced me as a knowledge keeper, and I said, "Oh no, I don't call myself a knowledge keeper. I could just tell stories endlessly. You know, if anybody wants to know, if anybody will sit and listen, I'll tell stories, man." And so my friend Penny, she started up this tribal arts free school, and I have some video of that actually on my YouTube page. I made a kind of artistic video about the free school, and she started up, and it was very good. You know, the people who came as students were interested people, and I would give them exercises they could try. You know, try to teach them and say, well, here's an exercise you can try and see what happens. And especially communicating with animals and wild animals is a good place to start, because that's like, at the beginning, that's like learning your alphabet. You have to learn that first, right? So I found that communicating with animals, mind to mind, is the easiest first step. So I taught that, and then you can go on to more advanced things. Am I still on the air? I don't know.
Yeah, you're
What's
definitely on the
happening?
air. Everyone can hear you.
Oh, good, because my computer screen flipped. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so this is what I've been doing, and then after I got connected with the aliens, um, they put me through portals, or at least they allowed me somehow to learn how to go through a portal. So I started going through these portals, and then I would camp on the other side of the portal. Now this is all happening up in the mountains where I live. I live in a small town, and there's mountains and forests and stuff, and the ocean's right here as well. And so I'd go up in the mountains a lot, and I started occasionally going through a portal, and I thought, oh my goodness, what is happening here? And I get through the portal, and I'd be on the other side, I decided, okay, I'm going to camp up here, right on the other side of the portal, and just observe and see what I can learn. And holy cow, yeah, I visited, and I visited about 5 or 6 different nearby parallel universes by going through these portals into another place, and I call them nearby parallel universes because I'm a science guy and I speak science language. But so I would go there, and on the other side, I met in one case I met another alien. It's the one we call the Predator, and he's also called the Shimmer Man, and he's also called the Invisible Sasquatch. That guy, I met him up there. Oh man,
Wow.
oh man, that was a wonderful meeting. I mean, for me anyway. But it was very learned a lot, and then in another experience up there. This was my most scary experience. I think it's as if I got into purgatory somehow. As a purgatory is a nearby parallel universe, it seems to me, and I got in there, and I saw a bunch of ghosts, man, and that scared the heck out of me, and all I wanted to do was get out of there. So I did. I managed to get out of there, and getting into and out of these nearby parallel universes is a consciousness thing, and I've always done meditation, so I know about my own consciousness somewhat. I'm not the best at it, but I am aware of it, and so going through portals and that sort of thing, or in other terminology, people would say going interdimensional. That's how some people talk about it. In doing that, I learned a tremendous amount, really, and I think it is the aliens who've been guiding me through all these things to learn stuff, and it seems that I work for them. They saved my life. They're very interested in keeping me alive because I was a bit of a risk taker, and got myself into some situations, and they saved my life. That's cool. So yeah, I've been through portals, and I can describe exactly what it looks like to go through a portal. And then I've found a few other people who have been through portals and listened to their experience and connect it to my experience, and then try to figure out, how do we do this? How is this, how is this done, sort of a thing, right? By listening to other experiencers and what they saw and what they felt and who they met over there and all this kind of thing, right? So I'm kind of specialized in portals to a large degree, and but everything else as well, eh? So I don't know. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say, I felt that way as well, as far as you know, f- feeling like that I've gone through life and have, avoided catastrophic situations, and I would ask myself at the end of the day, I'm being kept here for a reason, sort of thing, and it kind of sounds like that's what you're talking about there. And I don't know if it's ET intervention or if it's divine intervention, but I know for sure that there is some sort of intervention. And it just, when you said that, that actually resonated with me. We have a question from one of our viewers here, Maggie M10, and she wants to know if you could please tell us what a portal looks like.
Well, okay, yes, I will tell you what I saw, and then I've also listened to other people who've been through portals, and I listen to them. But each person can see it differently, but generally speaking, you see something that can't exist first, like, and then you see a hole, and if you go into the hole, you go through a tunnel, and then you come out the other side of the tunnel, and now everything seems normal again, right? So you look around. I looked around, and I thought, wow, everything's normal up here. I got up in the mountains. Gee, everything looks normal. I can hear normal sounds again. I can see, and there's birds, and this is cool, man. That's all right. But the going through the portal, it seems you go into a hole and then through a tunnel, and then you come out the other side of the tunnel, generally speaking. Now, what you actually see, I'll tell you what I saw the first two times I went through these portals. I was up in the mountains, and the first time I was on my dirt bike, and the second time I was in my pickup truck. So the first time, okay, I saw this vertical wall at the side of the road, a vertical flat wall, which cannot exist in the forest. You understand that a vertical flat wall cannot exist in the forest. And this is in the daytime, my vision is perfect. I'm not on drugs. I'm sane as heck, And I'm looking. I've stopped my motorcycle on the side of the road, and I'm looking at this wall, and I think, what? What is that? How could that be? And it was this vertical flat wall, and it had leaves on it, like little leaves. And I look at it, and then in the bottom of it, there was this hole, and I could fit in the hole. It was dark in there, but I peered in the hole, and there was a trail in there that I could ride my dirt bike on, right? So I think, okay, being a risk taker myself, I just drove right in that hole.
Right.
Most people, maybe a lot of people would have run away and screaming, but I'm a risk taker, and I look at this hole, and I can drive in there. So I rode my dirt bike into the hole. Now, it was dark in there, and then very suddenly, I was in another place. I was like transported into a completely different scene where I was riding my dirt bike along this huge gravel road that was like a gravel highway. Buses could go down this road at 60 miles an hour. And there's no road like that up there. I know there's no road in that up in the forest here. I know that. I know the roads very well. So I'm riding my dirt bike along this huge gravel highway, and I'm looking straight ahead, and I'm going a reasonable speed, 30 miles an hour or something. I'm looking straight ahead, and I can see way down this road for a mile at least, and it's just as straight as can be. And I'm thinking, oh, I want to go there. So I kept going, but then my mind started wandering, and I thought, well, where the heck am I, and where's that mountain? There's a famous mountain near there. So I turn around, try to look behind me to see this mountain, and I couldn't see it. Where it should have been was nothing. So I turned back around, and I got a little fear at that point, and I turned back around and just kept going straight down the road. And then I had a thought. I think I'll crank my right wrist and go for a top speed run, where this bike could go over 80 miles an hour. And I thought, I'm going to go 80 miles an hour. But then a thought jumped into my head, said, don't do that. That's dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept going 30 miles an hour straight towards the end of that road. And I went all the way down there, a couple of miles probably. And then the road became more like a normal logging road, and it all became quite normal again. And I rode along that road for a while, and I went over a brand new concrete bridge, I remember, and I kind of went around right-hand bend, and then I got going downhill because I was up at that point, I was up near 4,000 feet elevation, and I started going down this hill, and it was really steep, and I was just ripping down this hill, went down, and that was kind of a tunnel, that downhill, steep hill that was a lot like a tunnel because there was a forest canopy over my head, and there was trees on both sides, and so I went all the way down to the bottom of that hill, and I came out onto a paved road, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, where the heck is this, I looked to the left, and there was this big factory. which I recognize. It's called Port Mellon, and you can even look up on you can search on Google Earth Port Mellon, British Columbia, and you can see it's a big pulp mill right on the beach. Right. I turned to my left and I saw Port Mellon. I thought, wow, how did I get here? I didn't. It was bizarre that I was in that location. It was really strange that I had arrived there. So I thought, well, that's really weird. Now, my dirt bike was not legal on the highway, so I had to turn around and go back the way I came. So I did. I turned around and I went back up that hill and eventually made my way back home. And I was very happy to get home because I'd been in a wild experience. And I tried to tell my friends. A friend of mine, a dirt biking buddy, came over, and he was actually a logger himself, and he knew the forest very, very well. And I said to my friend Scotty, I says, "What? I just been on a road that it's crazy. I don't know where it came from. It was up there. Do you know that road up there? It's like a gravel highway, flat and straight." And he looked at me like, "You're out of your mind, buddy. You've gone crazy." And I don't care. I don't care what people think of me. I just, I do what I do, And he's still my friend to this day. But then another dirt biking buddy came over, and I just mentioned it, and he shut me down because I guess Scotty told him, "Jim's got out of his mind."
Right.
And I don't care. Honestly, I've never cared what people think of me because I know I'm completely sane, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I know that I'm not insane at all, and I don't take drugs. And so anyway, so I didn't tell anybody again. And the 4 years went by, and one day I was in my pickup truck. I went down to Port Mellon. I had some business there, and I drove out of the parking lot of Port Mellon, and I thought, now wait a minute, that little road should be just on the right-hand side. Maybe 100 yards out of the parking lot. It should be on my right-hand side. So I slowed right down, and I looked to the right, and sure enough, I saw that vertical wall again. There it was, with a hole in it. This time the hole was big enough for me to drive my pickup truck into, right? So I thought, well, I wonder what's in there, Being a risk taker and a bit of a dope sometimes, I drove my pickup truck into this hole, and I got onto this weird road. It was more like a creek bed, and I drove up it, and then I came to an intersection. Drove onto a normal-looking logging road. I drove up that, and I came around a bend. I'm going uphill all the time here, right? And then I saw in front of me, again, something that couldn't exist. And I hammered the gas pedal to the floor and went roaring, absolute, as fast as I could go, up this steep road. It was like a 45-degree angle. Normally, I couldn't drive up that on my truck, but I had no option because I had to hammer the gas pedal down, and I went flying up this section of road. And now I was in a tunnel again because there was a canopy above me, tree trunks on both sides, and I'm roaring up this road. And way up ahead, I could see a blue rectangle, and that was the sky. That's where the road came out into the open, up high. And I was the blue rectangle was the road, was the sky. So all I could do was aim at that blue rectangle. I had no other option, and I had to keep the gas pedal to the floor. So I was holding myself up by the steering wheel with my arms, and I did a chin up on the steering wheel to look over the hood to see the road in front of me, and there was no road there. There was no road. I could not see a road in front of my hood, whereas normally I could. But it wasn't there. So I let myself back down again, and then I pulled up on a chin up again. I pulled myself up, put my face up to the windshield, and looked down, and I could not see a road. 3 times I looked down, could not see a road. My only option was to keep my foot on the gas pedal. And then I came up to the blue rectangle and up and out as if through another porthole into into a normal situation, completely normal. Everything was normal again, right? So I'll say that again. I went through. I saw something that could not exist. I went through a hole. I went up a tunnel, and then I went out another hole into a place that was completely normal. And that's the experience of going through a portal. So now what you see as the hole or the tunnel depends on who you are and what images you have in your mind. I think that's how that works. But anyway, there is that common experience. So I come out through the blue rectangle out into the open, and I can see all around, and everything is normal and beautiful forests and stuff. And I'm driving my pickup truck, and everything seems normal now. So I'm driving along, looking around, trying to think out where the heck am I and how do I get home? I was just thinking of getting home. I had that in my mind. I've got to get home. So I drove along and I went over that concrete bridge again that I'd seen before. And it was a brand new concrete bridge, and I thought, well, here's this bridge again, eh? So home must be that way. So I kept going in the same direction. But this time, I didn't see that big highway, that big gravel highway. Instead, I was driving along this bumpy little road, and I was going up and down, and trucks banging and squeaking, and I'm going up and down, and very narrow road. And I'm driving along there, and I came upon a T in the road. So there was a road that went off to my right. I stopped and looked down this T, and a couple of 100 yards away, I saw a logging operation. Okay, and I thought, oh, great, there's people up here now. Everything's good. There's people up here, and I could see the machines were moving and they were giving off smoke. So it was a logging operation. It was operating, and there were people there, and I felt relieved. Wow, there's some people up here, but then I looked away and I did a double take back, because once I looked away I thought, but wait a minute, those machines are black, and logging machinery is always painted yellow by law for safety reasons, right? And I'd seen a lot of logging operations up there. Actually, I studied logging, and but these machines were not yellow. They were black. And I looked again up this road, and the machines were like really old-fashioned, and they were black, and there was some guys this time in my double take. There was a line of guys standing with their backs to me, and they were all dressed in work clothes. But the guy on the right-hand side of this line was facing me, and he had a big smile on his face. His face was like lit up. And he had a big smile on his face, and he's looking right at me, and I could see his mouth opening, like he was yelling something. And I thought, oh, who's that? But the guys with their back to me, they look kind of weird, So then I looked away, and I looked back again. So this is my triple take, my third look. And now that line of guys had turned around and were now facing me. And all their faces were dark, like black, dark. All their faces in a row. They all had tattered work clothes on. But the one guy on the right was still smiling at me. Now, I figured, okay, I call that a ghost logging operation.
Wow.
I've described it to you. You can figure out for yourself what it was, but it scared the heck out of me. That was the most fear I ever felt in any of my experiences was right then, when these guys' faces were all just dark, and they did not look happy, I'll tell you. All tattered clothes, so just like your typical, what you would think of like a ghost ship or something like that. This was a ghost logging operation. So this scared the heck out of me. So I looked straight ahead, grabbed the steering wheel, and slowly, carefully let the clutch out and slowly proceeded along that road, not wanting to get into any more trouble. And in my mind, I thought, I just want to go home. I want to go home, man. Home is good and safe and nice, and everything's normal when I get home, right? And I proceeded down this road, bumping up and down. And I eventually came to a road that I recognized, and I turned right and went straight home. But that scared the heck out of me, and I never tried to tell that story until just recently. Really, I've told this story a couple of times recently, but when right after that happened, you see, I had to rethink my whole philosophy and what I believed in and everything, because apparently I had visited, um, what do you call that place where where people wait to die, or
Yeah.
after people die they go to, what do you call that terrible place where,
No, I don't
you
know.
know,
I know what you mean, though. We talk about it on here. I don't. I call it just a realm. I don't even know what you would call it, really. That
yeah,
space.
it's a place where people wait, people have died and they wait to be for the next thing, and they suffer. It's a very bad suffering place. Anyway,
You said
I'd
purgatory.
been there. Somehow, I got there and got out of there, man, and I'm still alive. But um, I'll think of purgatory.
Yeah,
Purgatory,
that's
it's
what they
called.
said.
Yeah, yeah.
Purgatory.
Okay. Yeah, and it seemed to me that I had visited purgatory and got back out and got home, and so I didn't tell anybody about that. Now this, I had to change my philosophy, right? I mean, I guess earlier on I was an atheist. My father was an atheist, and I was a science guy, but I kept learning these new things and meeting ghosts and visiting purgatory and stuff like that, and I had to rethink my whole philosophy, right? Obviously, and so then I don't call myself an atheist anymore because I've seen all these things, right? I know they're real,
Yeah.
and so that's the way that went. But yeah, so that happened that year. The year that happened was about, I think it was 1989, so it was 86. I went through there on my dirt bike, and then a few years later, around 1989, I went through there on my truck. And then after that, I built a camper on the back of my truck, and I did a lot of camping. So every summer, I would spend 30 days up in the mountains, just living up there, enjoying the heck of it. I'm not really a hunter. Well, I haven't mentioned this, but I have a bit of a disability that I can't. I'm not a major hiker or mountain man or anything like that. I just go up there and camp, and I go for little walks around with my cane and stuff like that. But and I got to living up in the mountains every summer, and so each year I'd spend about 2 months
Wow.
up in the mountains, either camping or on day trips, and I got to know a lot of stuff. Had a lot of experiences up there. I did animal tracking, and one time I shapeshifted into a bear, and I didn't mean to do it at all. I was just tracking this bear, near my home, and I'm tracking it along, and I pushed my way through some thick bushes and popped out on the other side onto a trail, and I looked down, and there was some bear poop right on the trail. And I looked down at this, which is what you do. That's part of animal tracking, is you learn to recognize the scat and all that sort of thing in the animal and everything. And so I looked down at this stuff on the trail, and I bent forward and looked at it, and I thought, oh, that was a small bear, and he is sick. This is one sick bear. Then I shapeshifted into that very bear. So I'm looking down, and then I see my arms are the arms of a bear with long black fur, all wet, and my arms are a bear. Okay, and I think, oh gosh, I'm shapeshifting, right?
Wow.
And I turn and look down my body, and I am a bear. But the problem was this bear was sick near death. And that's probably why I shapeshifted into it, because I was feeling concerned for the bear. I felt sympathetic to the bear because he was sick, and it was a bad time of year for bears, the late winter, and they're in rough shape at that time, and this poor guy was sick. And I felt how the bear felt, and it felt near death. It was like having the worst flu you could imagine, being starving, hungry, and shivering cold. And I felt all of this, and I realized I don't want to be in this bear. So I thought, okay, I've shapeshifted into bear. I want to get out of it. So I thought, my mind was working completely normally, and I thought, well, I will jump up and out of the bear. And this is a matter of intention or will. Okay, it was my will, my intention to get out of this bear. So I leapt up sideways and was me again. I was just standing on the trail, and I was me. I wasn't this bear anymore. But then my next thought was, and when these things happen, you'll have like 5 thoughts a second. My next thought was, wait a minute, that bear should be against my leg. And I jumped up in the air and spun around, came down again, and the bear wasn't there anymore.
Wow.
That was my my one shape shifting experience, and it was pretty cool. But interesting experiment and now experience. Now, one time I wrote that out I wrote that out carefully and completely, the bear shapeshift experience, and I called it skunk cabbage time in the forest. That's the name of it, and I wrote it out on the internet. I posted it on the internet on a page where it's a page for native art, right? And I wrote it there, and a native woman wrote back to me and said, "That's the secret knowledge. You cannot write that. You cannot. That's the secret knowledge. You must not write that down." She said. She was so mad at me, and that's how I know it was true, because she was full native woman. She read my experience and she said, "That's the secret knowledge. You cannot write that down. It may only be spoken. You cannot write it down. You cannot record it." And so that's how I knew I had it all. I got that right. Now in that was an animal tracking experience. I realized that animal tracking is an amazing experience if you get into it the right way. You do animal tracking in a spiritual kind of way. And then you combine with the forest. You become one with the forest. It's an incredible thing, and I learned that also from the Bushmen of the Kalahari. They're phenomenal animal trackers themselves. So another time I was tracking in the snow, in the winter, and I found these deer tracks. They were as fresh as could be, brand new deer tracks. I'm following along, and walking beside the tracks, and I went down into a gully, and up the other side of the gully, I had to scale this steep slope, which was very slippery. And so I'm slipping and struggling up this slope, and I could see right beside me that the deer had struggled too, and its feet were slipping in the slimy muck, and I was slipping in the slimy muck, and using my stick to propel myself, and I got up over the top of this slope, and there was the deer tracks walking in the snow again. So I walk along on level ground. I'm walking along beside this deer, or where it had just walked, and all of a sudden, it was as if 2 mosquitoes flew into my eyes, both eyes, 1 mosquito in each eye, and I had to close my eyes tight and blink really hard, right? And but there cannot be any mosquitoes in the winter, but that's what happened. And I opened my eyes, and there was the deer standing in front of me. And what had happened is I had jumped back through time, and I saw the deer. I only jumped back maybe 20 minutes, I think, something like that, and there was the deer standing in front of me. But it was sideways across the trail, and it was absolutely still. So I stood still. For some reason, I knew that I had to stand still, and I did. And I just moved my eyes in my sockets, and I looked over the deer, up and down it, down to its head and its eye, and back up and down. And I'm studying every detail. This thing was was completely still, and my vision was almost super. I could see every hair on it, and I could see its eye, and I could see the reflection in its eye, and I'm looking at all this stuff. And I looked at its eye, and it was looking back behind itself, down behind itself. So I moved my eyes again to the right, and there were two coyotes there, and they were frozen in time also. And I looked at the coyotes and I studied them. Their teeth were bared, like they were just gonna bite something, and their fur was not perfect, like the deer. It was all fluffy and big for winter. And I'm looking at these two coyotes, and they were just very close to biting the back leg of the deer, and it was all still. So I'm looking all over this, and I look back forward again at the deer, and I saw that its front hoofs were off the ground, were still. So I knew for sure that what I was looking at was an instant in time that had happened maybe 20 minutes before. I knew that's what I was looking at. And I thought, okay, what do I do now? I'd been still all this time, and I thought, okay, I'm going to step forward and raise my right arm and my right leg, and I'm going to raise my right hand and touch the deer on the back. I had to take one step forward, and I could put my hand on the back of the deer. So I started to move like this, and what I only saw a blur where my arm moved, and then two more bugs flew in my eyes. And I blinked hard, and I opened my eyes. Now there was like this transition, and the sound came back, and other experiencers will tell you this too. The sound came back suddenly, and the deer was not there, and the coyotes were not there, but all their tracks were there, and everything was normal again. And I'm looking at the tracks of the deer and the coyote, and they had a fight right there. They spun around. You could see by the tracks they'd spun around, and there was a blob of blood on the top of the snow. So they'd had a fight. The deer had been injured, but I think then the deer leapt away and got away, I think, because there was no more sign of any deer anywhere around there. Now, this blob of blood, though, that was sitting on top of the snow, it sparkled. Now, if you've seen fresh blood from a living thing, it has kind of a sparkle to it, right?
Right.
And I looked very closely at that, and it was sitting on top of the snow, and it was only frozen on the bottom. So this is how I estimate the time. The time I jumped back, like I said, about 20 minutes, because that's how long it would take for a blob of blood to freeze like this. And this was like a blob, like a cubic inch blob. It wasn't a drip or a drop. It was a blob of something. So then everything was normal again, and I went back home. But there's another experience for you, and I recommend when I give talks about this to young people who are interested, I say, go animal tracking, go ahead, see what happens, just be aware of what's going on around you, and be aware of the weather and the kind of trees and the kind of animals and the tracks, and just be really super aware of the forest. It's like I say, I get my forest face on, right? Like I'm really in the forest when I get into that mood,
Right.
And I tell when I'm giving these talks, I tell them do that as an exercise. Go animal tracking, see what happens, And then there's another exercise I give them, and my friend Penny, she always reminds me when I'm giving these talks. She says, "Oh, tell them about standing still in the forest, right?" Because sometimes I'll forget to add that. That's another exercise, standing still in the forest. And I discovered this myself. And what it is, simply, I tell the young people there who are interested in these subjects, I say, okay, here's an exercise for you. Walk into the forest alone and unarmed. And just walk until you get to a nice place that feels nice, and just stand still. You can move your eyes, but don't move anything else. Just stand still and look and see what happens. Just see what happens. Maybe something will happen, maybe it won't. Okay, and that's an exercise. It's called standing still in the forest. And I, while doing that, I've had a doe and two fawns come right up behind me and start sniffing me from behind.
Wow.
And what the heck's that about? That's pretty weird. And I've had a lot. I'm into the animals, right? So I do mind-to-mind communication with the animals, which I learned from the native people. They do that. Not every native person can do that, but there are specialists, who can, who they're called the tricksters, right? And they can communicate with animals, and so I learned that I could do that too, eh? So I go out sometimes just to deliberately talk to the animals. Go around looking for wild animals, and I've talked to bears and deer and elk. Oh gosh, I met a wonderful elk, and it was very friendly. Once I said hello, you see what you say to a wild animal. The first thing you say to them is, "You are beautiful." Okay, and you get a good feeling of love towards the animal, and you say, "You are beautiful." You project that outward. You are so beautiful, and you look right at the animal, and you think, and you feel, and you say, "You are beautiful." Then they stop, and they turn and look at you. They walk towards you, and they're friendly as can be. They want to come over and be near you. And I've had deer come right up to me, and from a distance, they see me off in the distance, and I do that trick, what I just told you, a deer in the distance, and the deer looks at me and then runs right up to me. I've had them do that, man. It's this is I learned this from native people, and I've made friends with bears as well. Although I don't recommend that people mess too much with bears because they are dangerous. But I have made friends with a number of bears, and I have one video of that, and I have one still photograph of a bear I made friends with, and I made friends with a bunch more. And around here where I live, there's a lot of bears, and they're black bears, not grizzlies. And the black bears are actually they're quite friendly. I mean, I know a lot of people who've made friends with bears here. They seem to have a culture where they won't touch a human being. You know, they'll they might do a bluff charge, try to scare you away if you do the wrong thing. Or the big males too, they're a bit they're different. So I recognize male female bears, and the males, the big males, you get them, they'll do a bluff charge at you. They'll jump at you and growl and swat the ground, but then they turn and run away. I've had that happen like 2 or 3 times. Nowadays, though, I always carry bear spray when I'm out in the bush because I had 1 or 2 really close calls, and I thought, well, just for my safety, it's
Right.
like you get the odd bears who's crazy, like the odd human being. The crazy person will murder somebody, right? And you get the odd crazy bear as well. And in North America, that's Canada and the U.S. combined, there's 2 people killed by bear each year. Okay, this is a statistic. On average, 2 people per year. And you think how many people are killed by people? Oh boy, I tell you, I'm very
A whole
careful
lot
around
more.
humans because
Yeah.
if I meet a crazy person in a dangerous situation, I'm very careful. There's other, you know, that's a bigger danger to me. But anyways, I'm sorry. I
You're
do tend to yak away.
you are fine. You are actually great. The audience loves it. And I did have a question for you because it sounds like and I guess this is a question to you. You kind of referred to it, but do you feel that your intertwinement, I guess, with Native Americans and the teachings and some of their words allow you to have these experiences? Do you think that's the key to it? And then, secondly, with the portal situation, do you feel that those portals were shown? Do you think you manifested those, or do you
Hmm.
think that they were shown to you by some force or some entity?
Yeah, I'll answer the second question first, right? Okay, so yes, um, I think these abilities that I acquired or have that well, I think that the aliens or somebody, collective consciousness or God or whatever you want to call it, but I think they have been kind of guiding me to learn. Okay, it's as if they're guiding me to learn things. So I do have abilities. I have intuition, as my mother did. I have intuition, but but I'm being taught these things. It's very much as if I'm being taught, and I say it's the aliens who are teaching me now. Now you might, if a person is a Christian paradigm, well, they might say that, well, God is teaching me, and God has saved my life, because the times when my life was saved was exactly like what do the Christians call it? A guardian angel. Exactly
Right.
like a guardian angel. Same thing, you know. So it's all true. In philosophy, I don't say it's either science or religion. I don't say it's either the native knowledge or nuclear physics. No, I don't say that. It's both. They're all true. It's what we have to figure out is how do we fit all these true things into one universe? That's the hard part. That's the real difficult
Yeah.
thing, because but they're all true, and I know a little bit about Buddhism, and I must say I respect it. It's pretty tremendous. And then I've always worked with Christians, and had a girlfriend who was a Christian and stuff like that. So I'm very, I'm familiar with that. These are all paradigms, okay? This is a philosophical view. This concept of paradigm comes from philosophy, and in that view, science is a paradigm, Christianity is a paradigm, and they're both equal. They're both paradigms, and they're equal in that they are paradigms. Okay, and then Buddhism is another paradigm, and the indigenous knowledge is another paradigm. Or what paradigm means is mental model of everything. That's what a paradigm is. It's a mental model of everything. Okay, so these are all paradigms. Now, in my philosophical opinion, all these paradigms are flawed. I think none of them is complete, and I know science is not complete. I mean, I'm a science guy, but I will criticize science. I'll put it down when it's wrong. I will say so, and it is wrong. Science is wrong about a whole bunch of stuff, and I will say so when it's wrong. And so these are all paradigms or mental models of reality. So if somebody says, I told my story where my life was saved, and people will say, "Oh, well, that's your guardian angel." And I'll say, "Okay, yeah, well, I call it something else, but if you want to call it a guardian angel, well, that's the same thing. I just call it something different." Uh, and maybe I don't know what Buddhists call that sort of situation. I'm sure they have a word, but yeah, see. Okay, what I figure is the universe is really, really huge and beyond our comprehension. And we little humans, we should be humble when we face the universe, because it's so big and huge and beyond. I think it's really beyond our comprehension, actually,
Yeah.
all the stuff going on. I mean, my goodness, yeah, I think so. Now, and in science, you see, in the science paradigm, if you like, I studied the history of science, and humans have only been doing science for about 400 years, right? And from then until now, in 400 years, the universe keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets bigger in huge leaps, gigantically bigger. Like, once we thought that, well, it was only the sun and the earth and then the planets, and then we realized, well, no, we're in the solar system, and then outside that we call that the galaxy. So we live then for a while science said we live in a galaxy, and that's everything there is, right? Then we discovered that there are trillions and trillions of galaxies outside our galaxy. Well, when we realized that with our bigger telescopes, then the universe jumped to much, much bigger. Okay, way bigger. Now, just recently, our before science started talking about dark matter and dark energy, and that made the universe 20 times bigger than it was before dark energy and dark matter. Okay, 20 times bigger, that much bigger. So science keeps finding, gosh, it's a lot bigger than we thought it was,
Yep.
right? And I think it is. I think it is that way. I'm just a little human. I don't know. I don't know how much bigger the universe will get, but I can see it sure is a pretty big, and we're just these little humans, and we live in it, and and then you get into the concept of the soul and reincarnation or afterlife and all of that. Well, that's all seems to be true as well. I haven't exactly decided so much, but I know that it's true. So I know that this paradigm is true, and that paradigm has some truth, and that paradigm has some truth, right? But I don't know the complete truth. I'm just too small and stupid to know everything. I'm sure of that. I'm sure, And I listen to the theoretical physics too. Oh yeah, I try to keep up on that, but it's beyond me. I'm not smart enough to be a theoretical physicist, but then I think the theoretical physicists are not as smart as they think they are. I think that's their major mistake, really. They're not as smart as they think they are. That's the big mistake that scientists make, even our top scientists.
Mm-hmm.
They are making that mistake. I think so. That's
Agreed.
So I'm critical of science, even though it's, I've been doing it for 50 years. I have degrees, but still, I'm critical of science. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Not
well intentioned, but it's flawed because it's always a learning process. It's always rewriting the books every 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we may never get to a point to where we're able to definitively know everything that there is to know. But it's well intentioned though, and we need it. And but yeah, I feel the same way about science. I speak about that all the time. So yeah, it's great to hear you say that. Actually,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I say, I got degrees, and I've been doing science all my life. So, and that's my opinion. But that's philosophy, And see, I trying to think of. Well, there's scientific debate, right? And I do that as part of my job. I sometimes go to meetings, and there'll be engineers there and other people, and we'll get a major scientific debate going on. But it's not about theoretical physics. It's more like about some engineering thing, like a tap water system, or or something like that. Not not theoretical physics. I'm not at that level. I'm just doing civil engineering, and I did mechanical engineering and things like that. So I'm not. It's a job. It's like a plumber.
right?
You got to build a house. Okay, you bring in a plumber, an electrician, and a framer to build a house, right? Well, engineering is like that. You get together with different kinds of engineers, get together in a meeting, and they try to figure out, solve problems. That's the job, problem solving. And my original degree was in metallurgy, which is like mechanical engineering, and then my minor was in chemistry. So mechanical and chemical, but I'm not an electrical engineer. So I have to ask the electrical engineer, how does this work? I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know. If it's chemistry, I know. If it's mechanical, I know. But if it's electrical, I have no idea. I'm not an electrician. So we have to get together in teams in order to figure these things out. That's how engineers work. They work in teams, very much so, and you have different expertise, and there will be debate. Like I'm a metallurgist first, and then I might meet another metallurgist, and we will have a debate. And we might not agree on some fine point, like I've been looking into the new materials, the ceramic nanocomposites used in airplane engines, jet engines. I've been looking into that. It's new technology. It's fascinating, and it's leading edge materials engineering and material science. Pretty cool. But I don't, it's just an interest. I'm just dabbling, In my old age, I'm 74.
Oh wow!
Can't
Wow.
believe it. When I look in the mirror, I think, "Whoops, what happened?"
No, man.
You'll all get this old.
You're
If
full
you're
of
lucky,
knowledge.
you'll get this old. Man.
Exactly.
Pardon me?
I said you're full of knowledge, and no, you're exactly right. If you're lucky enough, you will get to that age, and that's what I tell younger people all the time.
Yeah.
You'd be a blessing for you to be able to wear the badge and say that you've seen life in that way. So
Yeah. Well, I keep doing yoga, and that's a wonderful thing, And I try to get my older friends to do yoga, but they won't do it, But it's so good for me. I mean, my goodness, it's just tremendous for me physically, and I'm not that strong anymore. But I had to move this thing the other day in my yard. I had a thing. A full propane tank weighs 175 pounds. Now, I had to move this thing around. I can't lift 175 pounds. I'm lucky if I can lift 40 pounds, okay? But I moved this thing around. I used levers and inclined planes and different methods, and I was able to get it. I was able to get it where I wanted it to be. Out of the back of my truck. That's where and into my shed. I got her done, man. But it was, it was tough. I'm
that
not like
is
I used to be.
awesome.
I used to pick up a propane tank and put it on my shoulder, but I can't do that anymore. No, sir. But it's the yoga, man. I recommend it very highly to everybody. Yeah, it's I learned things from different paradigms, and my older brother died. Almost made it to 80. He died, but he caught a disease from my mother. He got a bad gene from my mother, and that's what killed him. It was Alzheimer's, right?
Wow.
But
Sorry
I'm
for your
not.
loss.
I don't have that. My dad lived to be 98. I'm going for 100. That's my deal. That's what's in my mind. I'm going for 100. I got to
That's
be
right.
my dad.
That's right. I'll tell
That's
you
my
what.
attitude.
Your mind is so clear. You sound mentally healthy, and that's really a key to it, and as well. And you said the yoga as well. I know that helps. Something that I want to get into as well. And you are definitely a beacon for a lot of people that are listening right now. Actually, if you saw, I don't know if you can see the comments, but a lot of the people are definitely into what you're saying, your perspective, and are amazed by your story. So you're awesome, man. You are awesome, and I'm really glad that you called us. I'm really glad that you decided to do that. And I want to say as well, I don't know how long you've been listening, but we would love to also have you back at some time. If you ever feel like you want to come up and join the conversation, I want you to please do that, because your perspective is valuable, is needed, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we could get into as well. I mean, you are top level caller for sure.
Yeah, well, I come on here and I put on my philosopher's hat. I think, okay, this is philosophy, right? Which means it's wide open. It's about absolutely everything, and I know what people are interested in, and I try to. I can't tell my whole story in one sitting. It's just way too much. But I try to, tell people, teach. I'm a teacher. I've done some lecturing and public speaking and stuff like that. I've done quite a bit of that. So I had to learn how to do that, because at first I couldn't think and talk at the same time. But it's through meditation too. I learned to think and talk at the same time. I So I recommend, meditation and yoga and these kind of things. It's just keeping your body and mind up to their peak abilities and performances, right?
Yes.
That's how I see it. And yeah, so I do that, and did a lot of. I've done a broad spectrum of things. I've even done stand-up comedy. Do you believe that? I've done stand-up comedy, man.
That's
That's my
cool.
art form.
That is cool.
It's my. I can't do painting and drawing at all. And I tried to do music, but I do a bit of music, but I'm not really very good at it. But I found that I could do stand-up comedy, and I did it pretty well. But I was busy doing other things, but I just had to try stand-up. This is when I was about 50. I gave it a real good try, and I was successful, and then I quit because I had to get back to work. But yeah, as stand-up comedy, I've always joked around. You probably notice my demeanor. I laugh a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's my demeanor. That's my demeanor, I guess you'd call it. And my best friends are like that too. Like I mentioned, two women here who were what do you call it? Two women friends of mine, my sister-in-law and Penny, who were intuitive people, and they're like that too. They laugh, They'll laugh about this, laugh about that. Yeah, I'm not one of those people who wants to be scared. It seems to me in the paranormal, there's certain kind of people who go out at night and try to get scared, and they want to be scared. They enjoy the feeling of being scared, but I've never done that. No, that's not my. I don't know. I look for beauty. I look around. What do I see that's really really beautiful? That's pretty. You know, that's,
Right.
I don't know.
It's a good way to look
I like.
at it. Yeah.
I recommend meditation. I started when I was a teenager. And one of my pals was doing meditation. He explained it to me, and I thought, oh yeah, come on, I'll give that a try. Sure, that's cool. Yeah, it's just knowing your own mind, really. And I did have times in my life I had an anger problem. Ooh, bad anger problem. And I realized that's when I need to meditate to take control of my own mind, so I don't smash a window or put my fist through a television or something like that. Don't do that. That's bad. That's when you have to know your own mind and just take it easy. Don't chop your truck with that axe, man. So many times I wanted to beat the hell out of my truck when I'm trying to fix it, and I can't fix it, and I get really mad. So I've had anger problems, that's for sure, man. Never hit a person though. Oh, I shouldn't. I did hit a guy once, but he was trying to kill my friend, so I
That's
saved my
warranted.
friend.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've really avoided any kind of fighting or physical violence. I managed to do that, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh
You have a
gosh.
great energy about you, so it resonates, and people out there are resonating with you. So yeah, saying it's beautiful and meditation, good stuff. People are definitely picking up a lot from you right now. So you calling and giving us this information is just, more valuable than and we appreciate it. We really do. And yeah, I would love, I would love to have more of this. You have more stories to tell, and I would just love if you're ever tuning in. If you're up at the time, we'd love to have you call in and just join the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I'm up, I'm way on the west coast here, so I don't know where you are. What time
Yep,
zone you're in?
California. Yep,
Oh, you're California.
yep.
Oh, great, fantastic. Oh, I got relatives down in San Diego. I've been up and down California a number of times.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm in Bakersfield, so so for us, obviously, it's pretty early. It's 12:45, so we usually run this. I don't know if you're familiar with how we do this. I mean, we sometimes go 2, 3, 4 hours, and we'll have different people,
Hmm.
sometimes multiple people up at once talking. But you have done an exceptional job talking to us, and I just want you to know how much we appreciate it. I talk to a lot of people here, and this is a place. The reason why I do this is a place, to do exactly what you're doing now, which is just to have a place, a stage to talk, give information, valuable information that helps humanity move the needle forward. And you're doing that, and I appreciate that. And I know you're going to motivate other people to come up and do the same. So I really, really do appreciate what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I've just met you online here. I think I've seen you like 3 times, and I look for you on when I look for you and that other, who's that woman there from the southeast? What's her name?
Oh,
The
Coley, Nicole.
hmm? I think she's on your same radio channel or
Oh,
something.
are you talking about
Anyway,
Jessica Jones, maybe?
Jessica
The
Jones.
cryptid
Oh, I
huntress.
love her so much.
Yes, she is awesome for sure.
You see, she's like these other women I have known. You notice how she giggles all the time?
Yes,
Isn't that
yes.
cool? She's so wonderful, man.
She
I just,
is.
I dig that chick very much.
She is.
I must say.
If you will be out, and just so you know, we have this. We're with Spaced Out Radio. We have a fan party in May, so May 10th through 12th in Reno, Nevada. So we'll all be out there. If you have the time to come on out, that'd be awesome to meet you in person, and you'd be able to meet Jessica there as well.
Well, I can't travel that far. I'm sorry. Well,
Ah, okay.
I kind of disabled a bit, and my old car. It was just there's no way it's getting that far. I fixed my own vehicle, and it gets me back and forth, and that's it. It gets me to shopping, and that's all it goes. I don't care. I don't mind. It's no big deal. I don't want to go. See, when I was younger, I went all the way around the world, and I traveled a lot, and I got that all. I guess I got it out of my system, and I don't really want to travel anymore. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't feel that. Yeah, I've been there. Pretty
Well,
much. Been a lot of places, and yeah, I had a lot of experiences in my traveling. I walked through a war in Central America. I was so young and stupid. I didn't know there was a war going on in Central America. So I was in Panama City. I just bought a bus ticket north to Mexico City. I had no idea. I was so naive. I had no idea I was going right through a war, and I did. I made it through without too much trouble. They stole everything I had. I had a very expensive camera that disappeared.
wow.
Money was stolen, but I made it back. I made it up to San Diego, just barely. I crossed the border there with a few dollars in my pocket. I phoned up my uncle and aunt in San Diego, and they kept me for a couple of weeks, and I recovered my health, and then I hitchhiked the rest of the way home, which was a wonderful, really cool experience.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
and that was back in the hippie days, man. I mean,
That's
that was in the
awesome.
hippie times, and you could do it back then. All the way back home, I was with a bunch of hippies, and we ate out of dumpsters, and I had a bundle of blankets because everything I owned had been stolen. Right, so I'm walking along the side of the road with a bundle of blankets in my arms, and I met up with these hippies, and we ate out of dumpsters and stuff till I got home, and I got home in good health. Actually, when I arrived back across the border into Canada, I was in prime health, man. I was baked from the sun and feeling really good.
Yeah.
That's some of my life, man.
Living off
Done
the
a lot of
land,
stuff.
man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, done a lot of stuff. That's cool. What else is there to do?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Met a lot of people, and I mentioned I mentioned one thing here where I actually hit a human being with my fist. Right.
Right.
One time in my life, in my adult life anyway. And the funny thing was, I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I was there as a tourist, and I met a young guy who was East Indian. He was a little tiny man, weighed about 105, 6 pounds, something like that, right? And he became my guide, and he was a really really excellent guy, and he spoke English perfectly well. We traveled around, and he took me to meet his friends, and it was really a lot of fun. So he's my buddy, right? We're walking around, and we got on a bus, and I turned around, looked back, and my friend was gone. Where the hell did he go? Right? The bus just started to roll. I went down the bus, and here was some guy trying to kill my friend. He was this big guy, weighed about 200 pounds. I'm 150. He's 200, and he's got my 105-pound buddy hung out the back door of the bus trying to kill him.
Wow.
Holy cow! Well, that's when I hit somebody. That's when I was in good shape. I've been lifting weights and stuff like that. I was in really good shape. I knew back then. I knew a little bit about the martial arts. So anyway, 200-pound guy trying to kill my buddy. Man, I hit him a couple of times. He hit the floor, and I grabbed my friend and pulled him up and saved. But that's the only time in my life. And guys want to tell stories like that, don't you? Guys. Okay, guys. They'll tell stories like that.
Right.
I got one story.
That's a good one. Kuala Lumpur. I'd love to go to that place. But I could see it. You're very descriptive in your when you tell these stories, so I love it.
Yeah, and I went from Kuala Lumpur to Australia, and because my plane ticket ended in Melbourne, Australia, and I went to Perth, and I met that Aboriginal woman there. She's a magnificent person that I met, and then I went over to near the other side of Australia. There, it's the East Coast. Near Sydney, and I lived there for a while. Got a job, and knew a lot of Australian people, great people. Now, but I'll tell you this, my friend. Okay, those were the hippie days. Okay,
right.
I did acid a couple of times.
Right.
Just a few times.
Me too. Yep.
Because I was a hippie. Man. Everybody was doing it, so I did acid a few times, and I just learned, what those psychedelics are like, and then I didn't do it anymore. Whereas some of my friends, though, they kept doing drugs, unfortunately. But I just quit it. I quit everything in my early 20s. Quit all the drugs, alcohol, everything. Went back to work and got real serious. And I have never done a lot of drugs, just a little bit. And these days, I have one bottle of beer a week. And I pick a special European beer that's all I want. I'm good with that,
What's your brand?
Yeah.
What type do you drink?
That beer? Well, okay, I was drinking Sleeman's in a glass bottle, and then I found this Czechoslovakian. It's Čechovar, I think it says on the bottle. It says Čechovar, and it's imported from Czechoslovakia. It's $5 a bottle, and it's like a champagne or something. It actually has a skunky flavor. Man, that's good beer. But I only want one. That's it. I'm not on any medications or anything really. I was on a medication from the doctor, and I quit it. I said, nah, I don't need that. Sorry, doc. I dropped out of the medical system about 4.5 years ago. I just told my doctor, well, I'm out of here. I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. I'll figure it out and get well. So, fortunately, I don't have any of those, really bad diseases. But I can get by. But yeah. So, what else was I? Oh, Australia. Yeah, it was very, very nice, I must say. And I lived in a small town on the ocean, right? And now I live here. I'm in a small town by the ocean, and this is my favorite place. That's where I like to live. And so I was living in Australia. There's a place called Wollongong. You can look it up. Nice little town right on the beach, and gosh, it was a nice place to live for a while, you know. And got a job mowing lawns. That was the only job I could get, was mowing lawns, man. But which was okay. I didn't mind. It's something to do. Paid all right, you know, enough to live on. But yeah, the Australians they're Wollongong. Yeah, the Australians are they're just like Canadians. Same kind of people exactly, you know. And so I made a joke about the Australians. I said, Australians are just Canadians who got on the wrong boat, and vice versa, Same thing, right? It's just it's hot there and it's colder here. But I left there because of the heat. Really, I couldn't handle that summer heat down there, man. I had to get back to I need a bit of snow. I love the snow and raised here a little bit of snow and a little bit of rain. That's what I like. And yeah, that's what I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, we have Australians in the chat right now listening in. So
those are Aussies.
Yeah,
where are they?
Yeah.
I speak Australian. I'll talk Australian to them.
Maggie M10.
No worries, mate. No worries. Fair dinkum. No worries. I speak it. I can do an Australian accent pretty well.
Yeah, she said ha 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 ha. She loved it.
No
She's
worries.
down there
I like
right
that
now.
saying. They got a lot of really good sayings down there, eh? Like what else do they say? Struth. One word. Struth. Struth. It means, is that the God's truth? That's what it means. So you say to an Australian, say, "Oh, I saw a Sasquatch." They say, "Struth? Is that the God's truth?" You know, that's one of their words. I know their language. Yeah, it's pretty. What are there's some other ones? No worries, mate. And I like that, mate. G'day, mate. No worries, mate.
Yes.
That's good. Sheila. That's for a girl. Is a Sheila.
Yeah, they're loving it. They're loving it. They love it. She knows exactly what you're talking about. We have Mike Bothwell out here. Cheers. Yes, they're loving it. They're loving it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I had some real good friends down there, you know, Struth. Yeah, there's good friends. They're friendly people. You form good friendships, you know. It was a lot of fun.
She said Dinky D or Dinky Die. Do you know what that is? You're familiar?
Oh, I don't know that one.
I guess that's another one of the ones out there.
No, I don't know that one.
That's awesome.
Sheila. Oh, and they have different meanings for words. What was that one? I was talking to some Australians. Oh yeah, they said they were going to the football match, you know, and I said, "Oh, you gonna root for your team?" They looked at me really weird because root. Okay, that word root in Australia, it means something completely different. And I can't even say the word in English because I can't say it. But what I said to those Australians, I said, "Oh, you gonna root for your team?"
So Maggie, maybe you know what he means. She says, "Ha ha, root." So she knows what you mean.
If anybody there knows what it means, I think it's ROUT, but somebody knows what that means. Maybe, I don't know, but
oh, root means sex? Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Okay. That is hilarious.
Whereas we cheer for our team. We cheer for our team, cheerleaders.
She says fair dinkum.
Yeah, fair dinkum. Yeah, that's a good one. Just means, is that true? Yeah. Are you?
Oh, Long Island Bigfoot.
What would be? Are you kidding me? Like if somebody says to me, "Fair dinkum," that means, "Are you kidding me? Are you pulling my leg?"
Wow.
Is that true?
That is so strange to me. That is so strange.
Somewhat different language, and well, you have your country people and your city people, okay? And the country people often speak a a more pronounced accent, and then you go into the city, and they speak not so much of an accent. And it's the same here in Canada as well. So if you go out in the country and meet the country folk in Canada, they have an accent. It's a more pronounced accent. But you go into the city, and people have more of a city accent, right? I think you have that everywhere, all over the
Right.
world. Even in the U.S., I've seen that as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because you get the southeastern folk down there, Mississippi and all that. If they're rural people, they have a really strong accent.
Exactly.
And then the city folk in the same part of the world, they don't have such a strong accent. So what part of Australia are you in?
Let's see.
I'm sorry. California. What
Yeah,
part
I'm
of
in
California are you?
Southern California. I'm in Bakersfield, actually.
Oh, I know. I've been to Bakersfield. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. About an
Yeah, I
hour
know
north
that.
of LA. So, yep. You got to pass through here to get to LA.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been up and down that I-5, I believe it is.
Exactly.
Been up
Yep.
and down that a few times.
I've almost been to Canada. I always tell people that I used to go to Seattle a lot, and
Yeah.
so close to the border. I always wanted to cross the border to Vancouver and never did it. Never had a chance, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's on my list.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just it's where I always, it's where I grew up, and I grew up in farm country, with the farms as a little kid. So I worked on the farms a bit, and I got to know the dairy cows and all that stuff when I was a little kid. And then I moved into the city to go to college to get my engineering degree. So I lived in the city for a while, and then I worked in the city for a while. And then I moved out into the country, and I realized I'm a country boy. I am a country boy. I'm so much happier living in the country, I must say. Yeah, not a city boy. Not me.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I'm from Sacramento though. Bakersfield is just somewhere we decided to get a house out here because it's actually one of the last frontiers as far as a cheap place to buy a house in California. So they're pretty much with the housing market going up out here, trying to run you out the state. So this is pretty much the last place you can get something cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you
that's the
know
story
Jimmy
here.
Church?
Yeah,
Does
Jimmy Church. Yeah,
Jimmy Church?
yep.
He lives near
He's
you,
yeah,
doesn't
he's
he?
down in he I don't know exactly where he's at. I think he's close to Victorville, which is not too far from here. I always hear him talking about Victorville. So he's probably about an hour away from me.
Yeah, he lives down the road from the Skunk Works.
Yeah.
I looked it up on Google Earth, and I found the Skunk Works and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I talked to Jimmy Church too, just for a short time, but I mentioned where I live, and he knows my little town. He knows this place. And it's a really, really small town. We're kind of isolated, almost kind of on an island, Yeah, but he's been here. Amazing, that Jimmy Church guy, man. He's pretty cool. I like that guy. If you talk to him, even on the phone or something like that, he's really a people person. He's a hell of a nice guy, really. But yeah, a lot of nice people out there.
Yeah, and on Dave Scott, because we're also we broadcast on Spaced Out Radio on After Hours, where you see Jessica Jones at, and Dave Scott is on during the week, and he's up there in BC as well. So, and he's the owner of Spaced Out Radio, but
Hmm.
I can't
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
I can't remember the town that he's in. He's in some little town up there.
Is he in 100 Mile House or
So I think
Kamloops or
so. I
somewhere
think he said that.
right in
Yeah,
the middle? He's kind of right in the middle of the province there. I think it's.
exactly.
I've been there, and I'm trying to. I don't know, but I'll tell you. You see, I was going to be on Dave Scott's show, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
And I got into exchanging emails back and forth with his gatekeeper. He has a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And I got really annoyed. I got extremely annoyed because they, I mean, they're just giving me a hard time. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying I had great difficulty dealing with them. And they kept delaying me and all this stuff. And I just said, okay, that's it. I'm done with these people. And so I don't even watch Dave Scott anymore. And it's not because he's a bad guy. I just, you know, I don't know. When I make an enemy, that's it. I'm done. You know, it bothers me a lot. But so that's okay. There's lots of people to listen to. I like Preston Dennett is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah,
And
I've
of course,
interviewed him a couple times. Well, I want to let you know this, Jim. I definitely want to see because I'm a host over there, right? So I host on the weekends. So I do the weekend show there called After Hours. So I do this here, which is my channel where we're at today. And then on Saturday and Sunday, so week actually came from the show I do over there to come over here. We do an after show here. So just so you know, yeah, I host the weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, let's talk because when you were telling your story earlier, while you were telling it, I was totally thinking about like, man, this guy should be a guest. So if you're open to it, I would love to book you on the weekend show that I do, and we could actually have the conversation there.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that. Although
Okay.
I'm not pretty, I
No,
kind of hesitate to show my face because I'm not pretty anymore.
I did.
I
Hey.
used to be, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll do it. Sure.
Okay.
I'll be on your show.
If you
And
could do this, take down my email address. I'll give it out to you right now, and then just email me, and then we can talk behind the scenes. And because I have a bunch of slots open for coming soon here, coming in the next few weeks. So we could get you locked in, and yeah, let's have that interview. Because we did, you have a lot of great information. So let me know when you're ready.
okay, I'm ready to write down an email.
Okay, so it's Mr. Rob G. So it's Mr. spelled out MISTER is in boy, and then G.
Mr. ROB.
And then G is in go, EE. So Mr. Rob G at Gmail.
I'm messing up here. I'm trying to write with my elbow. I'm having trouble.
Yep, take your time.
Is it on the screen anywhere? Maybe I could.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the top of the screen,
where am I looking here?
right up here above my finger.
I should see it on the screen here. That would be best because I can't write. I'm kind of sitting.
Here, I'll do this.
Situation. Now let me see here. Oh, there I see Mr. Rob G.
Exactly. Yeah. So Mr. Rob G.
Mr. Rob G.
at gmail.com.
At Gmail?
Yes.
At
gmail.com.
Okay, I got it now. I got it.
Okay, and then just email me from there. Just whenever you get the time here, and then let's set something up. Because we could definitely have a great conversation. We just had one here right now, and I would love to do that and have you set up on the show.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I've been on a few shows. Yeah, I've been on a few times with different people, and
All
sure,
right.
we can do that.
So you guys heard it here first. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I get tired. I can last an hour, I'm sure, but once I get past an hour, I get a little bit tired. Yeah. So, okay, I'll send you an email. Your name's Rob.
Exactly.
R-O-B?
Yep.
Very good, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Very
problem.
nice.
And obviously, you can catch us over here. We come here right after that show, so we're here every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, doing this call-in
Oh,
show.
great.
And once again, I mean, I really appreciate what you've contributed to this show tonight, because you really have made the show today, and I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, but maybe another time we can engage with the chat more
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
get conversations going between the chat, and that's
Normally,
fun too.
normally we would have had people jump in with us and talk with us and join the conversation. Tonight, though, they've been captivated by your story, and they didn't. No one wants to step in and interrupt it. I can tell, but normally we have a few people up here talking, and it's just an open forum sort of situation. But yeah, they're thanking you in the chat right now. So Maggie
Oh,
M10,
I
all the
see
way
it.
from Australia, is thanking you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I get tired after a while. I don't know how long we've been on, but
It's been a
uh,
minute,
a
but I
little bit
appreciate it.
tired. Okay, so yeah, we'll see you again, talk again, and see if we can get the whole world figured out.
We
Okay,
will.
so bye for now.
But
Bye
goodbye for
bye.
now. Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. That was Jim. Jim came in and killed it tonight. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff, man. And I really appreciate Jim for coming in. I mean, he came in blind and really gave us a lot of great information, man. Really appreciate it. Just invaluable. And everyone that comes up, I feel the same way about. Susie B. She's come up many a times. Only person who has not done it is Derek Galloway. So I'm just wondering when Derek Galloway is gonna come up and talk about some of the stuff that he's done. What is he saying here? Oh, Susie B is she's a she processes information and then has the perfect thing to say when she's ready to say it. That's what I get from Susie B. She's a real thinker. She is processing information, and she always has a relevant, on time response and reply. So that's beautiful. I love it. Yeah. Let's see who else. Maybe we get Brown Dwarf, because I know Brown Dwarf has a channel. So man, maybe the Rob G Brown Dwarf collabo happens at some point here. We got Long Island Bigfoot. We always collab, and all these great voices out here, man. I really appreciate it. Everything that you guys have done to make the conversation go, because this is done for you guys. This is not done for me at all. I come from after hours speaking and doing whatever for, a few hours. And then this is where I like to get into conversations with you all. And like I say, Jim really did the job here. And I'm glad he told the story about, the miscommunication that he had attempting to be booked with Spaced Out Radio. So I hope to rectify that. I get to be the bridge. I get to be the bridge to repair that relationship. I feel good about that. I really do. I really feel good about, potentially bringing back a viewer, man. I really do. It really feels that's why we do this. You know what I mean? That's the real reason for just that right there. And it was, I don't know what you want to call it, but for Jim to decide to be the one to call in today. Jim is a brand new name. I haven't, seen Jim really in the chat. He may be creeping in the back, maybe lurking, watching from afar. But I haven't. It was just a real surprise, real pleasant surprise to get him to call in. It was totally awesome. And now we got Mr. Long Island Bigfoot in the building. Now it's a party.
My
Now it's going down. How you doing, sir?
my audio my audio was screwed up earlier. Is it okay now?
You sound a little low.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I heard that.
At the settings, StreamYard.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Yeah, I got.
While you're fixing that. Yeah, there's an echo too. I don't know where that's from.
Yeah, is it still going?
Yeah, you still sound far away.
Okay.
Like I can hear myself echoing in your system, and my echo is louder than you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that worked out.
So I'll just be quiet then for a minute and let you talk. That way they can hear you. Let me see if I can turn you up.
No, bro, it's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna try and get it fixed. I'll come back.
Okay. All right, guys. So yeah, it's been awesome, man. Yeah, Long Island Bigfoot, man. That's the guy right there. You guys already know who he is. Awesome guy. Often is on the Cryptid Huntress, Off the Trails, and obviously over here at the Social Dig, he's been on here, and also we had him on After Hours. I've been with, we featured together on David Divine's channel, David Divine Broadcasted. That's where I met Long Island Mike, and he's an awesome dude, man. He's a real awesome dude. And let's see. Yeah, I think I was ragging on Derek, though, right? Was I ragging on Derek? Was I saying how awesome Jim was? No, yeah, I was talking about Jim. I was done talking about Derek. So, yeah, Jim, awesome dude, man. Yeah, thank you, Long Island Bigfoot. I appreciate you considering jumping up here, man. Thank you. But yeah, Jim was good. It's awesome dude. So I get to mend the relationship, man, potentially, and bring back a viewer, and makes it all worth it, man. You know what I mean? It makes what we do worth it. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming in. You oh, Mike, just so you know, I got this message on the screen. StreamYard kicked the error message for you. It's what it says is your guest Mike is on an Android Chrome, which has a bug that causes echo. Google is working to fix it. For now, please ask your guests to wear headphones to avoid echo or use a different browser. We have also informed your guest. So I don't know if you saw that, Mike, but that was the message StreamYard kicked up. We got Magneticus Attractus. Magneticus, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing. Am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing. You're good.
Okay.
How is Magneticus's volume, though, guys? Because I know sometimes you guys are like, it's too low, it's too high.
It's too low, it's too loud. I wish you could turn your phone up when you have people calling in.
Man, tell me about it.
Because Jim was kind of quiet compared to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. I wish I'd have knew that, man.
That's okay. You can play the playback later, Use the Wayback Machine.
Were you able to hear what he was saying at least?
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
I had my volume up so I could hear what he was saying. It was just, it was just kind of quiet.
He said a lot of good stuff, man. Jim is...
It was kind of like somebody left a message the one time. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And everybody had a hard time hearing him.
It was Neil's message was low.
Yeah. because he
Yeah.
had like his dog or something in the background or something
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, man. It's a work in progress, but yeah. So it was a great conversation. I didn't, like I was saying earlier, I didn't, I keep eye on the chat unless he's one of the names that I read off, which obviously he could be. I just haven't seen him in chat, and to have him be the first one to call in was unexpected and was actually awesome. He had a lot to share, and yeah.
I've seen him. I've seen him on SOR. I've
Oh,
seen him in
really?
the SOR chat. Yeah,
What's his screen name? If you
it's
remember, do you remember?
the Bim Jim.
Oh, okay. Bim
BIMM.
Jim. Oh, okay. Bim
Yeah,
Jim. Okay, yeah. Then
yeah. You've
I'm
seen it
definitely
before.
familiar with Bim Jim. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say you've
Okay.
seen him before.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Okay, that's Bim Jim. Got it. Bim
yeah.
Jim. Okay.
So yeah, yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So when you get somebody else in here, Susie
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
talk,
Well, somebody will
and
hop
Ron's
in after a
missing
minute,
tonight.
man. So, what was did you check out After Hours tonight?
Yeah, I was in there. Didn't you see me?
Okay, yeah, I saw you in the beginning. I don't know if you had stuck around. So, did
Well,
you get a chance
I
to
was
see?
listening because I was like cutting lumber, so I had
Did
my
you get a
hands full.
chance
So
to see Melinda talk about her mediumship?
I no,
That
I
was towards
didn't
the
quite.
end.
I mean, I kind of caught that part of it. I mean, I did. I mean, she talked about how she was like it was usually dead people,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I was like I was more interested when she was talking about the airplanes that disappear into the mountains because that's not the first
Ah,
time I
okay.
heard people talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, cause that was a continuation. I took over for Dave Scott sometime in October, like I forgot what day, but if you go back, that's where she was really talking about it initially, that whole situation, and then she was adding on to because there was some new information she had, so she was kind of finishing that story. Though she did go back kind of and rehash it a little bit, but she really told the story on the other one. So if you were interested in that part of the conversation, you should definitely go back and check out that other video.
what you were talking about the underground bases, and I said the Defense Intelligence Agency is a great place to hide under Denver International Airport because when you turn into initials, you just have DIA.
Uh, okay,
So,
okay, okay,
and that's
okay.
and there's something with that red clay in Denver. I don't know what it is, but they can shoot missiles from point A to point B under the ground, and you won't even know they're there unless you're like standing right over the missile tunneling its way under the ground.
Yeah, there was some stuff going around about Denver International Airport. Some people say there's nothing there, but they've shown.
There's something there.
Have you seen the videos from beneath there? It's obviously what they want to show you, but they show you kind of what's down there, and it's like it's definitely a lot of tunnels. I guess they had some. I remember because I haven't been down there obviously, but I know I've been. I went to the airport the year that it opened when it was brand spanking new, and they had the what they showed on this
Oh, the murals, the old murals,
the murals for sure. Those were a big thing that they talked about. The
like the one
gargoyle
being
and
the piece stub being sliced by the bayonet or something, or a sword or something like
yeah, a
that.
lot of
Yeah,
symbolism.
there was a lot of graphic images in there. Yeah, I remember those.
But they
Yeah.
showed. I watched something recently where they were showing the underground under the airport, and it's a lot of stuff down there for sure. There's like miles and miles of wide, wide tunnels. But they were showing that it was for the luggage transport system that they opened up initially when the airport opened, but they stopped using it because it wasn't efficient. Like it would lose luggage, but that it goes over your head throughout all those tunnels, and it's supposed to get your stuff from here to there. But they don't use it anymore. But they still do use those roads down there. But you're gonna see that, and then somebody's gonna say, "Well, oh, there's stuff that they didn't show you down there."
There's
So
all sorts of stuff they don't show you down there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
forget how many millions of pounds of cheese the government has in storage right now,
right.
underground in a vault somewhere. And yes, it's in the millions of pounds that they have stored in their storage facility. And then you
That's
got like the places, the limestone mines. They use the limestone mines for there's like semi trucks full of what have you is underground, and that's where they store everything underground, out of sight, in the limestone mines.
I, I'll be honest. I'll tell you what, man. Some years ago, probably I'd say before Lou Elizondo came out, so before 2017, I would hear about deep underground military bases, and I wouldn't take them as serious as I do now and today. And it's only because on the and I guess that's a perspective from someone, and maybe even people today that are on the outside when they hear about those things. They kind of look at it like, okay, all that stuff underground, that's kind of wild. Why would they do that? But then once you get into the subject, you get to see other examples of this already taking place. And then, like I always say, like the bunkers that we know that are underground, the missile silos that we know are already there. And then you hear Bob Lazar's story. If you believe Bob Lazar, he tells you a story of, S4 being built into the side of a mountain. So if you saw it from air, you wouldn't be able to tell that there was anything there. So when
And
you
what was
get those
Cheyenne Mountain?
stories, then you hear
What was
that
Cheyenne
Melinda
Mountain?
Leslie story. It doesn't sound far off. Like it
What was
sounds very
Cheyenne Mountain?
possible. Yeah,
What?
Cheyenne Mountain as well.
And where is Cheyenne Mountain? Just
Colorado,
south of
right?
Denver.
Yeah.
Just south of Denver.
Well, here's the
And
thing. I've been at Area 51. I haven't. I've watched a lot of videos. I've been there personally as well. But you see videos of people that stay out there that are there like every day, just moseying around the roads, the back roads, and these camo dudes literally pop up out of nowhere. I mean, you can see for miles, and then like you can't see this truck approaching. Right, this truck just pops up out of nowhere, and it kind of leans to the credence that maybe they do have some sort of passages that they've dug underground. I mean, why not? You know what I mean?
I know they have. They that's what I've tried to talk about with like the NASA van or the NASA semi truck. You remember when I was talking about the swimming fish, right?
Yeah.
So if you put a curtain of mist in a valley and you project an image of a mountain, what do you see from a distance? You see a mountain. You don't see the valley. And what are you going to see if an F-16 flies right into that valley? You're going to see an F-16 fly right into a mountain and it didn't explode. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to see. And it's nothing more than a little bit of water vapor put into the air and then projecting an image on it. Kind of like
Yeah.
where you're pointing out with the lights in the one video where they're all like, "Oh, it's angels! Oh, it's angels!" You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And you're saying, but there's no spots of light when it goes between the clouds, so that makes you think that it's a terrestrial projection into the sky versus an actual object up in the sky.
Right. Now, Maggie and
So
Tin's wondering, do they still use Area 51 for weird stuff, or did they move it somewhere else? Probably moved it somewhere else. They probably are doing stuff there that is still secret, but I don't personally think the alien stuff is going on there. I really don't. I don't know. What do you think, Magneticus? Do you think they're still doing stuff there?
I think sometimes too many people know about it, so they really don't want to do anything there, so they probably do it somewhere else. But where they're doing it
Right.
somewhere else is hard to say because who's to say what they're playing with? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, there was a story that a pilot, and I have to find it because I want to give better reference to it than just what I'm about to say now. But there was a pilot that I saw on a program that said that they were flying on the outskirts of the border, the restricted area of Area 51, and it was at night, and they saw these a group of lights pop up in the sky that seemed to come from space, and they were sitting in the sky, and the pilot said that they sat there and watched these things shoot down from where they were sitting in the sky, like in groups of two, just kind of shoot down to the ground and pretty much approach the runway of Area 51 and kind of go down the runway and land. And then the next another two would go shoot down and then kind of go down on the runway. And they saw that for each one of these groups that were in the sky that it came from space. I have to find the pilot's name because as you know, as I'm telling it, it's just this a story that I'm telling, but I need to get the pilot's name so I can be more factual about what it was. But that's what he said. He said they were flying a plane near the border, the restricted area of Area 50, restricted airspace.
Right.
And they were, you know, it was nighttime, so they could still see, obviously, over there. And they saw these lights come from space, sit in the sky, and then just each one until they all were gone, go down to where Area 51 was located and go down the runway and just. So when Melinda told that story earlier, that kind of just resonated with me, and it's like, okay, she's like, well, what did you know? It could be maybe they're trying to get the government tech out of there. I mean, the reverse engineered tech out of there to relocate it, or maybe they're escorting these things, and you know, with that, and that's what you have to do is listen to the different stories out there to try to get the relevant information from it, and then use that to put it together in your puzzle. So,
like I said, I watched the Iron Curtain go out. I don't know how many times, and whenever the Iron Curtain goes out, there's a lot of traffic from the military installation nearby. You know what I mean? There is a lot of traffic, always. Anytime I see that Iron Curtain go out, there's a lot of traffic. So I know when they're moving stuff, they don't like people knowing they're moving it. And that was part of the reason why they banished leaded gasoline, because it was like really good for your motor. But it made every rooftop in town show up on space-based radar. So, you know, and that's what I've heard from people that were working at Cheyenne Mountain. They were talking about how the radar from space could like see things like a dime on Pikes Peak. You know what I mean? They could find a dime on the side of Pikes Peak from space. And that was the 1980s.
Is this the person I was talking about, Derek? The person you put in here, First Lieutenant Air Force Pilot Felix Monica? Is that the person that had the that saw the lights land on the Area 51 landing strip? Long Island Bigfoot. They were probably teenage grays that stole mom's spaceship while she was asleep and were just messing with humans. That's one of my theories at 4:30 a.m. Derek says, yes, Rob. Okay, let me look that up real quick because that is that guy tells the story, and man, maybe I can get away with playing it. I'm gonna look up his
Well, don't
name.
let loop 15 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that was my bad, man. I messed that up. Let me see. Let's see.
I forgot you got the copyright strike last week or whatever.
Yeah.
One video.
It's only happened one other time before.
You probably could have muted it, and it probably wouldn't have caught
That's what it was. That's what I came to the realization. It was actually the music that was playing. I just wasn't thinking, man.
Because we
I've
all
been
know
streaming
Karen
for
at the
6
Chum Bucket
hours
is
at the time.
listening.
Yeah.
Karen at the Chum Bucket is always listening.
Right. First Lieutenant Air Force pilot Felix Monica. Monica. Let me see. Oh no, this is somebody else. This is when the jet was, but I can still read it here. So Felix Eugene Moncla Jr. Was the first Lieutenant Felix Eugene Moncla Jr. Was a United States Air Force pilot who disappeared while performing an air defense intercept over Lake Superior in 1953. His disappearance is sometimes known as the Kinross Incident, after Kinross Air Force Base, where Moncla was on temporary assignment at the time that he vanished. The U.S. Air Force reported that Moncla had crashed into Lake Superior while tracking a Royal Canadian Air Force aircraft, which was off course. According to the report, the pilot of the Canadian aircraft did not know that he was the subject of an interception. So, yeah, they don't reference UFOs though. So obviously that might be, yeah. So the History Channel's version of it is that he was intercepting a UFO and then disappeared. So the night Air Force jet mysteriously disappeared over Lake Superior, November 23rd, 1953. Jesus, let me pause that. Near the U.S.-Canadian border, U.S. Air Defense Command noticed a blip on the radar where it shouldn't have been, an unidentified object in restricted airspace over Lake Superior, not far from Sioux Locks, the Great Lakes' most vital commercial gateway. An F-89C Scorpion jet from True Air Force Base in Madison, Wisconsin, took off from nearby Kinross Air Force Base to investigate. With 2 crew members on board, First Lieutenant Felix Moncla, who had clocked 811 flying hours, including 121 in a similar aircraft, took the pilot's seat, while Second Lieutenant Robert Wilson was observing radar. The men would not return from their intercept mission. What followed, according to Donald Kehoe, the former Marine Corps naval aviator and UFO researcher who wrote about the incident in his 1955 book, The Flying Saucer Conspiracy, was, quote, one of the strangest cases on record. Once airborne, Lieutenant Wilson had difficulty tracking the unknown object, which kept changing course. So with ground control directing the aviators over the radio, the Scorpion gave chase. The jet, traveling at 500 miles per hour, pursued the object for 30 minutes, gradually closing in. On the ground, the radar operator guided the jet down from 25,000 to 7,000 feet, watching one blip chase the other across the radar screen. Gradually, the jet caught up to the unknown object about 70 miles off the Keweenaw Point in Upper Michigan at an altitude of 8,000 feet, approximately 160 miles northwest of Sioux Locks. At that point, the 2 radar blips converged into one, quote, locked together, as Kehoe would put it later. And then, according to the official accident report, the radar return from the F-89 simply disappeared from the GCI, or Ground Controlled Interception Station's radar scope. And then the first radar return indicating the unidentified object veered off and vanished too. The United States Air Force and United States Coast Guard, and Canadian Air Force conducted an extensive search and rescue effort. No wreckage or signs of the pilots were ever found. The Air Force flip-flops in its explanation. The Air Force's official news release about the disappearance delivered to the Associated Press stated that the vanished jet, quote, was followed by radar until it merged with an object 70 miles off of Keweenaw Point in Upper Michigan. The statement appeared in the story Chicago Tribune headline, quote, jet two aboard vanishes over Lake Superior. The Air Force soon retracted the statement and changed its story. According to the new statement, the ground control radar operator had misread the scope. In fact, the F-89 has successfully completed the mission, intercepting and identifying the UFO as a Dakota, a Royal Canadian Air Force C-47 aircraft flying some 30 miles off course. Lieutenant Makla, probably stricken with vertigo, crashed into the lake during the return to base. Canadian officials refuted the account. No flights had taken place in the area that night. According to Kehoe, who would write about the Kinross incident again in his 1973 book, Aliens from Space, two separate Air Force representatives provided Lieutenant Makla's widow with contradictory explanations of the incident. In one version of the events, the pilot had crashed into the lake while flying too low. In the other, the jet exploded at a high altitude. The investigators' take. The case from Project Blue Book, the Air Force's own UFO investigatory team, reiterated the Air Force assertion that the jet successfully accomplished its mission and that the crash was an accident probably caused by an attack of vertigo. It attributed the abnormal radar behavior to unusual atmospheric conditions and deemed the inability to recover wreckage as understandable given the deep water. Meanwhile, investigators from the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, or NICAP, discovered that any mention of the mission had been expunged from official records, and the Aerospace Technical Intelligence Center's official line on the case was, quote, there is no record in the Air Force files of sighting at Kinross Air Force Base on 23 November 1953. There is no case in the files which even closely parallels these circumstances. In the absence of a thorough and satisfying official explanation, civilian saucer groups, as Project Blue Book would call them, developed their own theories. According to one, the jet had crashed in the UFO's protective beam like a concrete wall. Others speculated that the jet may have been scooped out of the air and taken aboard the spacecraft, perhaps so the captured men could teach their alien captors the English language. In 1968, there were local newspaper reports of military jet fragments discovered near the shore of Lake Superior, but the find was never verified. In 2006, Adam Jimenez, claiming to be a representative of the Great Lakes Dive Company, corresponded with UFO bloggers and members of the UFO community. He claimed that not only had an airplane wreck been discovered in the area, but a metallic object resembling a chunk of flying saucer as well. UFO researchers soon exposed inaccuracies in Jimenez's story and concluded that the Great Lakes Dive Company did not exist. Eventually, Adam Jimenez, too, vanished without a trace. Yeah, okay, Derek, got you. Yeah. Exactly. I call BS too, Monica, or Maggie, I'm sorry. I'm reading this message from Derek on the screen here. Felix, Monica. Yeah, BS. I call BS too. I don't know. What do you think, Magneticus? Was that a UFO?
On that last story?
Yeah, UFO interception or intercepting a Canadian aircraft that Canada says was not in the
Superior?
air. Right. No
Over
wreckage could be found because of the depths, according to them.
Is that the one with the three sister waves? Which lake has the three sister waves?
The three sister wave.
You never heard of the three sister waves?
One
of those lakes have this like weird freaky weather pattern where like three waves will all converge at the same time and it'll just completely devastate a ship floating around in there.
Oh, okay. That might be Lake Superior because that thing is huge.
And then of course, like with the Bermuda Triangle, there's always the that talks about methane gas and how if there was a sudden release of methane gas, it would cause the air pressure around the wings to change suddenly, and they'd no longer have the lift, causing the planes to crash in the middle of nowhere. And the same thing could happen to a boat by the time, the methane gas was done releasing from the water. The boat's already underwater, and it don't come back to the top. So, it can happen.
Yeah, Lake Superior is like 20 something miles across or something like that. Let me see.
I'm trying to remember. There's Michigan, there's Ontario, Superior, Huron. I feel like I'm missing one.
Lake Superior is let's see, 31,000 miles, 31,700 miles squared.
Square
It's
miles.
also 1,332 feet deep at its maximum depth. And let me see.
So you're a quarter mile down.
And the Great Lakes are Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Would be the 5 Great Lakes. And the largest is Lake Superior.
I just know one of those lakes has a freak wave system called the Three Sisters. That's what they call it.
Lake Superior is larger than Scotland and or South Carolina. That's crazy.
I've been to Lake Michigan before. That's the only one I've ever been to.
That is pretty wild. And they think those lakes were actually the remnants of the big freeze or the snowball Earth, I guess what they called it. Yeah. So, yeah, they could get to the bottom of the lake if they wanted to. All that not being able to recover stuff is insane. I don't buy it. I don't think that there's anywhere on Earth that they couldn't retrieve wreckage from if they really wanted to. So.
Yeah, but
maybe at that time, but 1,000 feet isn't that deep. Go ahead.
How many square miles was it? 37,000 square miles?
Yeah, 30, let me see. 31,000. 31,700 miles squared. Volume 2,903 cubic miles.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of water.
The width of Lake Superior, the width is 159.7 miles. The length of it is 349.8 miles. They have full-blown tankers in that lake, that ship goods and things. They have full-blown ships in that lake. That is a huge freaking lake, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So, you got to have an estimate, an estimated last radar ping, which the radar back in 1950 isn't going to be that accurate. And, yeah.
So MH370, right? So Magneton says they trawled the ocean looking for MH370. I don't think anyone has looked into the lake for the wreckage. I have some theories. And actually that's a great thing to talk about. I don't know, man. MH370 with no wreckage at all. Not a single anything. Like it completely disappeared off the face of the planet. We've seen crashes in the ocean, and these planes are torn to shreds. There's stuff floating around that won't sink. There should be. So you would think somewhere in the ocean, there, if it crashed into the ocean, that it would have been ripped apart on impact. There would be things floating around for sure. So it doesn't make a lot of sense unless it fell
Sorry,
on land somewhere.
yeah, sorry
Now,
for laughing, but I'm thinking about those garbage islands floating out in the
it
ocean, and maybe it hit one of those garbage islands and just disappeared.
well look, at the same time, they had they you know had a theory that they had saw it on radar. I mean, on like a Google map or something, some sort of satellite imagery that showed wreckage in like a jungle somewhere. And I guess it ended up they went there, ended up not being it. But you know,
Right.
I'm here's the thing. These we know that these so you got to go back to common sense thinking, right? So we go back just to common sense thinking. We know that these ETs are here. Now, these are things we know. We know they're here. We know the craft are here. We know the craft have interfered with airplanes, electronics at some point in time. We know this
Right.
for a fact. We know that as far as on the individual level, they seem to abduct humans. We know that there was the case of the pilot that I talked about during on Dave's show about the Fred Valentic from Australia who was on the radio, saying that he was encountering a UFO, and then they heard like metal scraping sounds, and then he was never seen or heard from again. So with all that data, and you move that over to talking about a plane that just disappears into thin air, it can kind of lean in the plausible category that maybe it has something to do with extraterrestrial interference, possibly. Not saying that that's what actually happened, but if you just look at all the other facts that we have, as far as that are pretty much facts on the other stuff, and then you apply it to this situation, it makes more sense than a lot of the explanations out there. That it just disappeared, for one, that it, fell in the ocean somewhere, but we don't have any wreckage, that it
Right.
crashed somewhere on land, but we don't have any wreckage
Right.
or any evidence of that. So, I mean, it still leaves it plausible that maybe it was some sort of ET interaction. And here's the bigger picture, right? This is really what, I've thought about, which could be a scary thing to think about, right? So, knowing that the ETs do interfere with airplanes, and they've actually come up to these airplanes in mid-flight and danced around them. You heard stories about that. You heard stories about the electronics going out. So
Yep.
just think, maybe if think of a lot of the tragedies that we've seen with jumbo jets and things of that nature, what if those were all related to extraterrestrial interference? And they know, the FAA knows, but they will never tell us, obviously, for obvious reasons, right? Think about it, because if you, I don't, there was a China Airlines flight that was right around the MH370. I think it was after. And they caught it on closed caption TV on someone's camera, plunging down to the earth, just falling out of the sky like a rock, nose first, like not twisting or spinning, just a straight nose dive, like a vertical tail straight up in the air, nose pointed to the ground, vertical nose dive from 30,000 feet into the ground, straight down. When have you seen a plane fail and crash in that fashion? They showed it on closed caption
Boeing triple
TV.
seven with autopilot
Say
on.
say it again.
I said it. I said a Boeing 777 with the autopilot on.
Crashing, I mean, with the nosedive? With the
Oh, that's what I try to tell people sometimes. Most of these planes they fly themselves, and the pilot's just there to make sure it's doing
Oh yeah.
the right
Oh
thing,
yeah.
hopefully.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
But
I
a
mean,
plane with wings isn't usually gonna just nosedive. It's going to
I
coast.
mean, if it had some kind of mechanical failure, yes, it could, in theory, just come straight down, and
What would be that
there's nothing.
mechanical failure though? That would cause a nosedive with no spinning, no twisting, just a straight nosedive, just a straight descent, just like if somebody shut the power off on the plane and it just
Like the
the
hydraulic
engines
pump
just
went
shut
out.
off
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it.
it happened. Well, that's what I told you. I think one of the times I talked to you. Maybe I didn't. Who knows? Well, I know I shared something with Nicole that I did years ago that would cause a lot of interference with electronics, and that's when I got exposed to a lot of radiation. So I'm fully aware
Oh,
that
okay, yeah. I remember
some
you
of these
saying that.
craft produced radiation that will cause the electronics just to malfunction. And like I said, if the electronics malfunction, it's not like the old airplanes where you got like cables connected to the yoke to your flaps. Everything's controlled by hydraulic pumps and computers.
I'm gonna see if I can
So
find that. China. Let me see. When I saw that video, I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm just thinking ET interference, man. I'm thinking, because they say airplanes are the safer than driving your car, like and they always put that statistic out there. And then when they do investigate these crashes, they go and they find, this one small thing was what was wrong. It was defective. But it didn't happen to any other plane but this one. But this is a defective part. And I don't, I think in some cases, not saying all cases, some of these are probably exactly what they say as far as the cause of the accident. But what you just have to wonder what percentage of these are actually related to ET interference. Is there, because they've interfered in other planes losing power for sure. We already know that for a fact. So how many times have they interfered with as many commercial flights that are in the sky, and these are commercial flights, some of these have gone down. How many of those were, are we saying that no ETs have interfered with electronics on commercial flights?
I didn't
Because
say
that
that.
would, no, no,
I
no,
said
I'm
it's a
not, and I'm saying that
possibility.
we are, but I'm just saying that, think of the narrative. We've heard about them interfering with like Cessnas and military jets, but for some reason, we don't ever hear about them interfering with electronics on jets, on like jumbo jets. And I think there's a reason why that they don't, that isn't being talked about or said, because
Because the
it
towers keep
has
them
to
out of
have
the
happened at
airspace.
least once or twice.
Because they keep them out of an airspace. That'd be the easiest way to do it. Route them around an airspace.
So say that again.
You route the commercial flights
Mm-hmm.
away from the ET's flight paths. If you know the ET's flight path, because they come in from the other side of the satellites, you get what I'm saying? Because most of the satellites and they're using radar are pointing at the Earth. They're not pointing away from Earth. So you're not going to see it approach the satellite. You're going to see it pass the satellite as it goes to Earth. I mean, there's a
Okay.
whole network. I forget how many satellites are up there, and I can't remember the address to go on the internet where you can actually look at all the different, you know, I'm sure the old Galaxy satellites are still in orbit. I don't think they're used anymore, but I'm sure they're still up there. I mean, you remember the Galaxy Network back in the 1980s, right? When you needed the 10-foot dish pointing to the south,
Right.
you know? I mean, I was privileged and I could just push a button inside the house and change the position of the dish out in the yard, but I don't know if I don't know if I sent you a picture of that. I might have sent you a picture of that. You ever get a picture of the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, with a circle around a satellite dish? That's where I was.
Let me show you this.
You can still see that satellite dish out in the pasture.
Look at this.
Oh, hold on, I gotta. All right, what are we looking at here?
This is China Airlines flight. Watch it fall down. Look at that. When have you seen a jumbo jet fall down like that? Come on, man.
Where's it falling from? I can't. I'm having a hard time seeing it in the clouds.
Right there in
Put your
that
mouse
square.
back.
That is a
Oh, okay.
straight up and down nosedive from 26,000 feet in the sky. Twenty-six thousand feet per minute is how fast it was falling down. Has even left aircraft specialists baffled.
All I can say is it looks like it lawn darted because of mechanical failure.
Yeah, but if it was something normal or explainable, then it wouldn't leave crash experts baffled. You know what I mean? It wouldn't leave them baffled because they'd be like, yeah, would that be expected behavior if this failed or that failed? There were people in there. Yeah, Mike Bothwell. There was a pilot and people in there. 132 people were on that plane as it crashed. Straight nosedive from 20. Look. Just a straight. That's why I don't fly. Because you can't tell me, like, and I said this before, it'd be a really bad situation to find out that these ETs actually do interfere with these commercial crafts while you're at 35,000 feet. That'd be the place you wouldn't want to find out that no, they actually do interfere with commercial
And
craft.
like I said, if an airplane goes into a stall because all the electronics have now malfunctioned, all your hydraulic pumps have now stopped working. You no longer have anything to propulse you. And when those flaps go limp, trust me, it lawn darts straight down like a bomb.
So
But
you're not going to get any coasting action at all?
you're not much. I mean,
Because
you're
as
gonna
long
have
as
to
you
load it
can,
and then just poop.
as long as you can create lift under the wing, then you can coast. So if you have room to work from high, as long as you angle the attack.
And one thing I talked about the spaceships having is just like the ionic breeze on a larger scale, and nobody seems to get that. What I'm saying, that's how HARP works too. It's an ionic breeze on a very big scale. You know, you positively charge the wires above the ground, and all of a sudden the wind starts moving from the positive to the negative. And then you get your Arctic blast in the news. So, is it possible that a UFO went over it with its little ionic thrusters and caused the plane's electronics to frizzle fry from the ions and then be pushed down from the ionic stream coming from the base of the craft? Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think this is the one. I think this. So just think of this. Just think of this, right? it's the case for more? If we look at all the cases of crashes, what if we find out at some point down the line that 50% of those crashes were due to extraterrestrial interference, and that the FAA just covered it up the whole time? Like, what if that would be pretty, you know, even if they only had the hand in one crashing, that would be enough to make you think twice about trusting these planes up in the sky. And I really feel like at least one of these crashes has something to do with interference. At least one. And one is too many. One is too. If we find out that one of these was brought down by extraterrestrial interference, then I think we have like all. And here's where I go back to the love and light, and the these things are just here for love and light. They just want to protect us. They but there's other things going on potentially that we don't know about. Now I'm not going to say for sure because no one, in the public knows for sure. Oh, Derek, you talking about my guy Mateo? Yeah, he had to step aside for a minute, man. He's taking care of some business. He has a business that he has to run and stuff, so he didn't have a lot of time to
He's our
continue.
electrical engineer.
Yeah, he didn't have enough time to do this and that. So, but you never know. He may be back at some point. Still my good buddy. We have a history, and that's my guy, man. That's my guy. So you'll never know. You never know. But the show must go on too. So yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just like, I don't know that that's the case, but my whole fear is that we find out at some point down the road that these things actually have had a hand in things crashing, and then we have that should be, it's sickening to think about, but we know that they're lying to us about them being here, and potentially knowing what the intent is. But I just feel like, the what's been presented to the public is mainly situations where it seems like they don't interfere, or it seems like they don't really cross with anything that we do. But I think that there probably are cases where they actually have, and I think it would just shock the world if anybody ever knew.
I'm not sure what to think sometimes. Like I said before, if I discredit other people's stories, I have to discredit my own.
Right.
So, and I definitely seen some strange stuff that makes watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind hard to watch. You know? So,
Yeah, man.
I mean,
I
that's
mean
how it
that,
is for
but it.
me. I can watch that movie and I can say, that's what I saw right there, you know?
Oh, dude, here. I'll tell you what. I had not watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind in a serious manner until within the last 5 years. Like, and it was because ETs being here weren't a real thing to me at one point in time. Like I always felt like ETs were out there for sure. I always felt like maybe at some point we had been visited for sure. I've always thought that. But for the fact that they're here like all the time, that's what I was unaware of. So I never really looked at Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was an older movie. It was before I was born, and it just wasn't a movie that was on the radar at any point in time, really, during my life. It's a movie you had to go and find and watch. And so I ended when I did watch it, which is probably 5, 6 years ago, for the first time, I was blown away, dude. I was so blown away because of, for one, how old the movie is, And then for two, how accurate it was. Like, dude, it was so accurate. Like, they've had so many alien movies out there, ET visiting Earth, where
E.T.
it's
call
where it's
home.
where it's real
Home.
science fiction, where it's really like they
Oh no,
created
no
these
circumventing
things.
those Texas Instruments is real. You should hear some of the weird stuff that comes out of a circuit bent Texas Instrument speaking spell. Oh, when you realize what he was doing, that's why he notched the saw
Oh
blade.
no, not ET. No, no, no. Yeah, no. I'm not talking about ET. I'm just talking
Oh,
about like a random alien movie where aliens come to Earth. Some low budget film or just some random film where the creators of it literally sat and thought and created how the aliens got here, right? So,
oh, you know what my favorite ones was for sci-fi was Critters. You remember Critters?
right.
That was my favorite ones with the two bounty hunters that could um like cloak themselves by looking like whoever they saw around them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if they seen you, Rob, like you were the first person they seen, they could like change their face to look like you, and then other people would think you were them or whatever while they were looking for the little critters or whatever.
I remember Critters, dude, Critters, and there were a few in that genre in
Space
that time frame.
Pirates or Ice Pirates. Ice Pirates is a good one.
Yeah, yeah, there
Well,
and
that's more of the time machine. Nicole was here. We are talking about time machines. Ice Pirates is a good one talking about time machines. You got to go at just the right angle through the time warp, or otherwise you just get really old and die.
right. Let me see what Derek Galloway sent. He said we call fair use on it or whatever. We'll take a look. But yeah, Close Encounters, dude. It, I had heard about it. I had heard how authentic it was, but it didn't really hit me. I don't think I've seen a movie out there that really nailed it like Close Encounters did. Close Encounters, every aspect of it was literally something that someone has told you they've witnessed or seen themselves, and it was just amazing how they put it together.
Right?
With the orbs and the like, all that stuff is stuff we
Sometimes
see
I
in the
feel like
skies
that guy in the
today.
movie because I'm sitting there trying to build stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I seen it, so now it's like I got to build it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's like my tower that sits here in the living room looks like Devil's Tower. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like,
And the
and then
obsession.
of course the wheels spin inside the wheels and stuff like that. So that's like a Bible reference right there. That one took me a while to figure out why people are saying, dude, you need to read Ezekiel. I'm like, no, I don't think I want to read Ezekiel. I read Revelations, and I'm not sure if I want to read any more of the Bible.
Right.
That's how I was for years too. I didn't want to read any of the Bible because it was like, if you start out in Revelations, you're gonna think the rest of that book is just downright scary.
That's true. Revelations will scare you to death, man. That's no doubt. Let me
But
see.
then it's like all the years that people are like, "Oh, the 666 has to do with the devil," and I'm like going, I showed you the calculation of what I believe is the 666 in the Bible. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when you look at it in the where it's linked to the other chapters, it's like, oh, this is the throne it's talking about. But it was like there was probably like a physical throne, and then there was like the mental. That's why I think you can't find the one Temple of Solomon is because it was like the temple on his head. You know what I mean?
Oh man, this dude is trying to get me.
What?
He's trying to. He wanted me to play a Timothy Alberino video.
I don't know who that
This
is.
dude looks like he'll copyright strike you, man. No, and shout out to Timothy Alberino. I love the interview, man. If you're out there, but oh, it's 12 minutes long, Derek, and
You'll get caught on that one probably.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'd have to stop it a million times in order for this not to be caught or.
Right. Yeah, it's like,
Oh
what do you got?
man.
30 seconds? 10 seconds. It's 10 or 30
Yeah.
seconds. 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds at a time. You can get
So
away
that's
with 10 seconds of
stopping
a
it
song
six
before.
times. 6 times 12 is 72 times we'd have to stop this film
Yeah.
in order to watch it, Derek. And I ain't taking a risk. But this is on. Derek posted this on his channel. But it was still flagged though because if you got it from his channel, then it's still. Man, I
Who
want to
knows?
see it, Derek. But yeah, I know you got it on your channel, but
So why don't you just post the link into the chat?
yeah,
So
let me
anybody
do
wants to go
that.
watch it, they could go watch it later.
Let me do that.
Because you're the only one with linkability skills in the room.
Yeah, let me do that, man. I'm not running that
Don't
risk.
give me
I
a
mean,
wrench.
because I
I will.
want to see it, but we'd have to stop it way too many times, Derek. That's the problem. Way too many times. Copy
Oh,
that.
Batteries Not
Okay.
Included was a good movie. I like that movie too.
You know what else was that kind of, if you
Oh,
look
Any Me
at it,
Mine,
is
I remember that
Cocoon.
too. Who? Oh,
Cocoon.
Cocoon. Yeah, that was a good one. Yep, with
Cocoon,
the old
man.
people turned young when they went in the cocoons. Cocoons.
Yeah, it's about the Peru aliens, and I would definitely, I want to look at it, but we'd have to stop it too many times. Unfortunately, let me see. Yeah, Cocoon, man. They were, but that's the thing. We don't know why they're here, man. They could be, shoot. If they're, all I remember is at the end they left with them. It's like I would probably do that too.
Well, I know in Illinois, I was convinced they were just here for the corn. I mean, I don't know, but I know that was just one of the times that I disappeared for like 3 hours.
Damn. You haven't
Yeah,
told that story, right?
I haven't. I thought I
Oh,
did.
were you
Maybe I told
disappeared for?
Roderick. Maybe
Oh,
that's who
okay,
I
yeah.
told.
Go ahead, let us know, man.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm a broken record because I don't know who I told what to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of my stories I've told 100 times. So me and my dad were traveling in Illinois from that town I showed you with the bank bag and to a little town just north of there. And I mean, we should have been gone like maybe an hour, but we were gone for like 4 hours. And I always remember like a light going or like I don't know how to explain it. It was like basketball size orb of light, like came over the hood of the car, and then but it didn't like show up behind the car. I always remembered that as being weird because it was like just going down the road and all of a sudden like this orb of light just went over the car. And then of course when me and my dad got home, the stepmother started going on about we stopped at gentlemen's clubs and saloons and everything else, and we're like, no, we went and checked the traps at this one person's house and came right back. That was the only place we went to. But for some reason we were gone for like 4 hours. So, I could never figure out that one. And then I think the other night I was talking about the ones where something was on the rooftop looking in the window. I think I told you about that one. I've had some
Man,
definitely
I
weird
have.
experiences.
That's
But
what
like I said.
I haven't had any. And I hear a lot of people, and that's why I'm always ask a lot of questions, especially when I'm doing interviews and stuff. Because a lot of I'm open to everything now. I'm open to because just from what I do know, and so I'm open to everything, and it's just amazing when I hear other people's stories. Because like I was telling, I forgot who it was interviewing the other day, but I like to take the information that's given from that experiencer and kind of cross reference that with other experiencers and kind of see what the commonalities are to try to, figure out what's going on here, man. Like why, you know, are some people
Yeah, you
taking
find
when
yourself going,
others
why
aren't?
me? That's what
Yeah,
you say. You go,
exactly.
why me? Why? You know, because if you tell anybody, you're crazy. You know what I mean? So,
But I don't,
anyway,
you know, I
well,
I
that
don't
was,
say why not me, you know what I mean? Because I haven't, but at the same time, I would like to know, is it literally a random because there's 8 billion people on Earth, right? So if they just dip into the pot and decide to take a person, it would be a random person, right? And it could be that way every time, but some people say they're taken multiple times, and it's like, well, why? You know what I mean? Like, why are they taking
tag them
this
and bag them,
particular person every time?
or bag them and tag them, or however you want to call it. I mean,
Right.
times you see the DNR grab a fish out of the water, stick a tag in it, throw back in the water? You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's what.
is it
I mean,
just
that's
they
what
haven't got to me yet, or is it that you know what I mean?
I mean, what if there's only 100 of them just out of,
Right.
let's say there's only 100 of them visiting the Earth, all right? And the easiest way somebody explained it to me once upon a time was, imagine right now, Rob G, you have to shake every person's hand in China, just in China. How long is that going to take you?
Right. Right. Exactly.
You're
Forever.
going to spend lifetimes trying to shake every
Right.
person's hand in China right now. So that's basically what it boils down to. You know, I don't think they got time to come and shake hands with all of us and say, "Hey, we're here. We're from far away, and we can tell by your past you're kind of hostile." You know, I
I'm
mean,
just
most of the
like,
weapons in space are pointing at Earth right now. There's not many weapons pointing away from Earth.
here's the flip side to all that, right? So we hear the the stories of abductions and some people just call it contact, right? But I think you have to look at it like we hear the general consensus of the protocol for alien abduction is they come and they take you. They usually take you aboard a ship. In some cases, they do examinations on you. In some cases, they don't. And then at some
Implant, yeah,
point later, they bring you back, right? And you're
implant,
back
yeah.
home.
They implant,
So,
yeah, and then they
but
put you
that's
back.
that's the story that we hear from the people that have come back. But what about the ones that potentially haven't come back? And is there a group that hasn't come back? Is there a group that they've abducted and then they just don't return those people? And we only know about them, or understand that the normal thing for them to do is to return people because obviously we can't hear the stories from the ones who weren't returned. So is there a subset of people who, yeah, they get abducted, but they just don't ever get returned? You know what I mean? Like, and if that's the case, then that kind of would, it kind of puts a wrench in the whole theory of why they abduct us because people only they come to their conclusions or their speculations based off of stories from people who have been returned, and the general thing is, yeah, they do whatever they're going to do and then they bring us back. Yeah, they're cool, they're trying to check us out, they just want to make sure that we're okay and this and that. But then if you factor in the ones that haven't been returned, then that story doesn't really stand up to that. So if there's a group that doesn't get returned, then it can't be because they're just checking us out and they just want to put an implant and they want to just monitor us and see how we're doing, because there's a group that they may be taking that they don't return. And then what are they doing with those people? Are they just taking those people to in the off world somewhere? Are they holding them on a ship somewhere? Or um do those people meet some sort of end at some point? And then that kind of dips into the missing 411, where that whole theory is that maybe some of those people are the ones that don't get returned. So it's like, if there is a whole other side to that abduction, of the abduction story, then, and that's the thing. See, that's why it's just another thing that you have to consider, at least consider, when it comes to trying to figure out what's actually going on. Because once again, if we only base it off of the people that have been returned, abducted and returned, and then if we just go under the assumption that these ETs don't interfere with any of our planes and potentially have caused crashes, if we just go under the assumption that they haven't done any of those things, then you could probably come to a conclusion that they're not here for any sort of malevolent purpose. But
Well,
you know, if
maybe some are space pirates, and they just need the captain just needs crew, you know, needs somebody to scrub the toilets for him or whatever, you know.
right,
I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean,
right,
people
right.
went to different countries and grabbed people, you know. I know in America the Chinese were used, the Irish were used, and the African people were used as slaves.
If you look at
I
this,
don't hear much about Hispanic people being used as slaves, but I'm sure there were.
man,
So,
that's because uh, and if you look at it, there's certain current. I would argue, and I'm part Hispanic. I would argue that Hispanics are still being used as slaves today. A lot of people kind of give the most demeaning work to the Hispanics, and like I said, my half of my family is Hispanic. I'm actually, my dad is half Hispanic. My grandmother is Hispanic.
I mean, I can see it from the the migrant workers. I could see it as that
Right,
the case.
right.
I
That's what
mean,
I
because like
mean. That's like modern day
Eastern
slavery
Washington
in
is
some
notorious
cases,
for
if you look at it.
Eastern
So
Washington is notorious for like hiring people from Mexico.
that's what I
Just
mean, man.
and they just come here
That's
long enough to pick apples and then they go back.
right.
Or some of
And
them
then come
stay
on,
and they
it,
send like their money back to Mexico to feed their families. So, you
look,
know,
look. I'm
but it's
I'm
not a fun
I'm
job.
I'm African American, Native American, and Hispanic, right? So you want to talk about you want to talk about a rough history? Yeah, that's yeah, yeah. But with that being said, let me see how many people, because I know I looked at this number each year. I was blown
With
away
one number.
by the number of people in the United States that go missing every year, just in the United States
Oh
alone.
yeah, yeah. That's a crazy.
Just in the
It's like
United States
it's like
alone,
100,000 or something crazy like that, isn't it?
600,000.
Okay, yeah, it was 100,000 number.
600,000 people go missing in the United States every single year. And a good fraction of those people are never recovered or returned.
Look in the cement.
600,000, man.
Look in the
That's
cement. That's all I can tell
so
you. Look in the cement.
but here's what I'm going to say with that. 600,000 is not all due to murder. You can look
Oh,
at
I know.
murder statistics and know that that's not the case. We know that some of these are due to murder. We know that some of these are due to people just getting lost. We know that some of these are people that just decide to disappear on their own. And the number still ends up being a huge chunk of people who go missing
Right.
without any explanation at all, and have no, and are never retrieved or recovered, and did not fall at the hands of murder or some other things. So that's what the whole missing 411 is about. So that
You want to
portion
know
of
something?
people, which probably ends up being 100,000 or 200 after you filter out all the other explanations, is like, where do those people go? They don't just disappear. So are those the ones that are being taken? That's what the whole theory of missing 411 is that are they being going through some portal into some other dimension, or are they being taken by these extraterrestrials? And if even a portion of those people are being taken and never returned, then there is a bigger problem than people really like to admit about why these things are here. And I'm not a
You,
fear monger as far as I don't just think they're here, for negative reasons. I don't think that the whole outlook on this situation is negative, but we have to just make sure that we are always keeping in mind the possibility that a portion of this stuff is actually negative, and not only that it is negative, but that we're being subjected to it on a daily basis. Like, you go to sleep and yeah, you got returned in your encounter, Magneticus. But what if you ended up being one of those ones that didn't? You wouldn't be here to tell the story, for one, so we would never know that you were, that's why you disappeared. But it
can I
just goes,
remind you of a past conversation back when it was just pretty much me, you, and Mateo before you had more people following you?
yeah, I think
Remember
so.
I kept
I'm sure we
remember
did.
I
I'm sure we
remember
did.
I kept pointing to the sky. I said that's where I'm going. I said that's where I'm going. I said I'm gonna go to that position in the sky. That's where I'm going. Remember that?
Maybe. What do you mean by that position in the sky?
M33. I said M33,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
where
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And then when you look
And I
around my
looked it
house, you
up.
see all these triangles. So,
I looked it up. But here's the thing, right? Okay, if you take me and you don't return me, and the end goal is that I get to go to this your planet or this other planet, okay, that might be kind of cool, man. I might like that. It might be, even though I'm probably want to be with my people on Earth, but that might be a cool situation. You take me to some other planet and I get to see something I never saw, and like get to see a whole new way of living. That would be cool, but it wouldn't be cool if you took me to chop me up or murder me or whatever it is that it would be considered malevolent
Oh, like an
activity.
American Dad, what they did to Jeff.
But look,
Did
here's
you
the
ever watch
situation.
that show,
No, I
American
didn't get
Dad?
into American Dad.
Oh,
No.
okay. Then you won't know the reference. Never mind.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, nah, I don't know those characters.
Because it's the
But
CIA, and he's got an alien living in his attic or whatever, and the boyfriend of the daughter got abducted by aliens, and they hacked him up and just stuck his brain back into an alien body and put him back on Earth. And then the girlfriend and him were trying to get pregnant, or the girlfriend was trying to get pregnant but couldn't get pregnant because it was just a human brain sitting on an alien body, and it just wasn't happening.
uh,
So
let me check that UFO, Derek. But yeah, man, I'm not on the. I just why I always cringe, dude, when I hear people say there's no evidence that they're here for nefarious reasons. There's no evidence that they no, there
okay.
actually is
Oh
more
yeah, they're all
than you would
friendly.
like to
Yeah,
admit.
they're
Uh,
friendly.
yeah, I
They're all
don't like
friendly.
that. I don't like that. I
No,
hope
me
they
either.
are. I really
Yeah, don't
do.
we all wish they're all friendly?
Yeah, I really do, man. But
Hi, Officer
you know,
Friendly. What are you gonna do with that gun?
just don't look at look at the other side of it, and don't look at both sides, dude. Look at both sides. Like I said, there's gonna be a group of people who have always said no, they're here for to be kind and help us.
You got
They
the
would
Jabba
never
the
come
Hutt's
here
out
to
there
hurt
that
us. They
people
would
chained up.
never. Those people who say that are going to be the ones that if something did happen that was nefarious, those people are going to be not prepared. You know what I mean? They're going to be, it's going to be sad too, because they're here, but we don't know if what their intent is yet. And so the day that we find out what their intent is the day that either they're going to be proven right that yeah, they were here just to help us the whole time, and it's going to be great, or it's going to be, dude, I told you that there was another side to this, and maybe you should have prepared for that. It's going to be, I just don't understand how people stand so hard either way. Like on either side, you should be in the middle because you don't know. Like who knows? Like how can you be so hard on one side either way? I just don't get that in this conversation at all. Regardless what it is related to
I think
ETs,
they're on both sides of the fence.
how could you be so hard to one side? I don't understand it. Anyone, I don't get it. And people give their explanations, but then when you try to hit them with, the other side of it, they don't know what to say. And it's like that's because you're hoping that it's that way, which is cool, but you're not, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not really preparing.
Well, Rob, lionfish are friendly too. Just don't touch them. They're friendly until you touch them.
Right. And I think that's the
Poison
whole
arrow
thing.
frogs are friendly until you touch them.
I think that's the whole thing, man. People just,
Yeah.
oh, they've ascended too high. They would never, they dip. Like, you don't have proof of any of that.
I used to love B just because of the fact that the aliens were eating people and hanging them up like cattle in the spaceships. That was my favorite thing about that show B back in
Yeah,
the
V.
day.
I used to
the
love
80s.
V.
I
All
wish I
right,
could remember
Derek
that
says
other
this is a
show.
cool UFO video. I'm going to believe him. We're going to see if this is an actual cool UFO video or if it's CGI or some other shit. We're going to find out.
You're playing a video now?
Yeah, I'm about to bring it up
Okay.
right now.
I'm like kind of sitting over watching the chat and talking at the same time.
Cool video. This is it right here. Let me play it. All right.
26 million in Australia? Wow. What are we
Video
watching?
Derek sent.
So far, I see a car on the beach driving around.
There's a light in the sky that it just disappeared. Let me try to do it. Let me remove this banner.
There it's big.
All right, let me take it back.
Or a light in the sky, huh? About 12, 11 o'clock going upwards.
Yep, about 12, 11 o'clock. About 11 o'clock, yep. And it just faded out.
Okay, that was kind of weird. Boom. Pause it. Can you pause it?
Yeah, I have to get over here. Hold on.
Go back a
Should
few
come back
frames.
up.
Yeah.
It's moving across the sky. It just dropped.
Because what I seen on my screen, looks exactly like those lights. There's it's like right on the water's edge. There's like 3 lights on like a U shape, and it looks like the same thing but up in the sky somehow.
Do you see where I have it paused at?
Yeah.
So the light is dropped now. It's lower.
Oops, you scrolled the screen down. So now you're at the like comments section.
Oops. Okay. Hold on, man. Damn.
Or am I seeing your mouse in there?
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Now it's off to
See,
the
that
right.
That shape looks like the light sitting down at the beach, though, right on the water's edge. But the weird part is that the camera isn't moving, so it wouldn't cause a lens flare like that.
I'll tell you what I feel, man. Once we get to it.
Looks like an electric jellyfish too. Well, look at those light things like they're down by the edge of the beach. They look like the same thing, except for without like the bottom half of it. That still looks like something I want to do down at the beach. String up some lights. I mean, that's what it kind of looks like to me. It was like whatever those lights were down where the cars were.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what people think about that. I don't know, Derek. I don't know, man.
What are
I'm
we
gonna
looking
be
at now?
because and I'm not in any way a debunker, and I come into videos hoping, because I've seen something myself that was insane. So, when I'm looking at these videos, I want to be like, yeah, that's wild. But the thing that makes this video weird for me, and maybe you can say what you think about it, but let me try to go back to it so I can play it as I say this. But it seems like, go back.
Well, you see what I'm talking about right on the water's edge there? There's two of them. There's one like 9 o'clock, and then there's like one right in the center.
Those are lights on a tower.
I know, but that's what I was saying is the object up in the sky looked like those lights, the shape of those lights. I mean, I'm looking at it like real
Oh,
small,
okay.
so that's what I was saying is like it reminded me of oh, somebody was looking out the window and there was a reflection of a light up above the glass that made it look like there was a UFO on the horizon. And when they moved, it looked like it was moving across the sky. So that's why I was like, it
Let
looks
me see what
similar in
people say.
shape, but the camera's not moving to cause that artifact to be doing that. So I'm just saying.
Let's see. Let's see what people are saying. Um, let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Maggie. I don't see the camera moving around, so it wouldn't be that in the lens reflecting back.
My question is, and then maybe you could point out whether it is or isn't, is is this light actually in this video or not?
Oh,
That's
I
what
could
I'm looking at. I'm looking at, was this added in post?
after
Was this added in post?
Adobe After Effects.
Only because the shot is obviously a fixed shot, and it's a professional shot. You can tell by the quality of the video, like someone, with a decent camera is filming the beach or filming this view of the beach,
Right.
regardless of this light being in the frame or not. So for me, it's a really nice shot that includes mountains and ocean and beach. So you're getting something far off in the distance in the view, which are the
Right.
mountains, and you're getting all this in one shot. And it for a shot like that, it would be easy to add something to that because you could say, "Oh, look, it's back by the mountains," or. But then
Right.
the other part of it that makes it kind of weird is when it drops down. So it appears like the light is way off at the mountain in the furthest back, but then when it drops down, it appears like it's right over this mountain in the foreground. So it doesn't. It's it. I don't know, man. It seems too perfect, right? It's too perfect. Like who else is seeing this? If it's right there, right above this mountain in the foreground, I think this is like by Redondo Beach or somewhere over there. I don't know exactly where this is at. But if it's that close, if it's right above that mountain right here in the foreground, then wouldn't a lot of people see this? Like there's a lot of people out there. Are they reacting to this light? I don't think
Yeah,
that this light would be
you
able to
can't tell
go
because you can't see
unnoticed.
anybody down at the beach. Everybody's like, all the cars are parked and it's
Yeah,
semi-dark. So,
if you get the if you I'm gonna go back. If you look at the zoomed out shot, you can see people just going on about their business down on the beach. You know, no one, everyone's just walking around doing their normal
all the
stuff.
cars are parked and looking out that way though.
Yeah, the
All the
cars
cars are
they don't
parked.
have people in them though. There's
Yeah, we don't know where the people are. They could be
yeah,
down at the beach. They could
you
be
can
in the
see the
businesses
people.
behind.
See, that's your screen might be too small. You can see people all over the video. There's
Oh,
people
okay.
everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, there's people
I,
spread out all across the shot.
yeah, that picture's about the size of my thumb. So,
Yeah, so that's why you can't see. There's a person
yeah, I can't.
jogging down the road right here. There's a person walking away from the light right here. There's people just
Okay.
doing normal stuff over there. There isn't any indication that anyone is seeing this light doing what it's
One
doing.
over there.
And that's just what I would be afraid of is that someone should see that.
So what if it's IR light that's being emitted from whatever that is? IR
It
light
says
just shows up as white light on digital cameras.
it's a camera on a hotel or a condo roof. Yeah, I think it's someone's fixed camera, Derek. I think it's someone who is just filming the beach, filming the scenery. Like they have their cameras set to film the scene that you're seeing. So I think that's for sure what they're doing. But my question is that when that light drops down right above that mountain in the foreground, if this is happening and it's happening over and over again, then why doesn't it seem like people are reactive to what's going on? In a shot like this, it'd be pretty easy. I could probably whip this up or something similar using the same shot. I could probably whip something up that looked close to it.
I could do
You
better
know,
than that, but that's
well,
me.
ain't that? But that's just what I'm saying. So if you found this footage online and you wanted to add something to it to make it seem like something, this would be the perfect footage because you have wide open sky, you have objects in the far distance, you have something kind of in the middle, then you have the beach and the people right in the front in the foreground. So it would be the
Then the boom
perfect
would just lit up
video
again.
to use to do something like that. I don't know, Derek. I just say it's not. There's nothing definitive. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I would just. I'm not gonna say it's not it, because I don't know. I wasn't there, but from what I see in the video, it just I don't see for something like that to be happening right in front of. I'm gonna count. There's at least 50, 60 people there. There's more than that. I'm just giving you
Right.
and
Oh,
no,
I could
they're not
believe it.
grouping up. They're not. No one's. It doesn't seem like anyone's. Okay, that
Even
jogger
taking
is
notice.
right there. That light would be happening right in front of that jogger, and
Oh, track that car moving and when the spots show up.
Okay, that light shines. I don't know, Derek. I don't know.
Because I started wondering if the light was like reflecting off the car window that was moving.
Coming out.
Okay. I can hear you, but
As long as you can't see me.
Let's see. Looks like a video through a pane of glass at some points. That's a good, you know. But that's the thing. I mean, it's so easy to add things to video nowadays.
right. Especially with all the digital what have yous.
Yeah,
Alien
I
Skin
mean,
used to be one of my favorite plugins to use in the Photoshop department. I remember years ago this guy that did commercial work, and he asked if anybody could find the lyrics to some song or who sung the song or something. He would do an artwork for the person's name. So I found his song he was looking for, and then when I showed him my artwork, he was just like, "Why do you want me to do your artwork for?" And I was just like, "Because it's you doing it, not me."
you know what? I think you probably could figure this out really quick if you could. I think this one will come down to the frame rate of the video, because the frame rate seems to be pretty low, right? If you could, well, you can't really tell, but just the way the things are jerky in the image, like the ocean doesn't seem fluid. It seems pretty jerky, like the frame rate is
Right.
low. And I think you probably, unless they match,
But
if
look
they
at the
did
motion
fake
of the
it,
car. Go back and look at the motion of the car, and see if the motion of the car has the same motion as the ocean.
yeah, it does. Yeah, it's choppy. It's you can tell it's like low frame rate. So this is definitely low frame rate. So you can check that. I'm sure you could align that with that thing in the sky to see if it's actually part of the same video, because it should be tracking at the same frame rate as everything else in the video. And if
Right.
it isn't, then maybe it's, it'd be something that you could say was added after the fact. So someone with more video skills than myself could probably figure that one out. But I think it'll come down to the frame rate would probably give you a good idea if it was authentic or not.
Oh, that's your background picture. I'm like, oh. Your background has a bright yellow, and the video has like a dull bluish red.
It goes down to the frame rate. Yeah, no, the frame rate is definitely choppy, Derek.
Light off.
Yeah.
Light back on. Moving slightly to the right or left, and then back to the right, and then down, and then disappeared. And it faded. It faded towards the end there. And then it's going to... Where's it pop up again at? Boom, all the way down there.
Yeah, I just took it back again. But my whole thing is, with all that aside, there's a lot of people out there on the beach. And when it drops down, maybe they're not looking up when it's up there like that. Maybe they could probably not notice it, maybe, if they're looking a different direction. But when it drops down as low as it does, people would have to see that. When it drops down to that low point, I would imagine a handful of those people, if not most of those people, would have noticed that happening, and then it does it more than one time, I believe, right? I think it does it a few times. Let me see. Yeah, it disappears. Okay. Well, maybe if that's in one motion. I think, okay, it's just replaying over and over again. So maybe, I don't know. If it only happens one
There it's
time,
moving. It fades out. It comes back on. It goes up a little bit. Goes right. Disappears. Now it's going to show up down on the bottom here. No, it's going to be back where it was. And now it's going to show up down on the bottom here in a second when it disappears again. Drops down a little bit, and then it should show up right above the ridge line there.
yeah, because you see it. It gets really small and moves across, and then goes straight down, and then
Now it's
lights up like that.
down real low. And then there was like, whoa, what in the world did you just do that? I was like, was it fast or something? Or
Yeah, that was just the whoever edited this video.
I don't know, watching this by the ocean makes me want to get out my big 8-foot wingspan kite and put some lights on it and fly it at night. Put some remote
Right.
controls where I can turn them on and off at will and reposition my kite in different places in the sky with 500-foot lines or something, you know.
I don't know. It's compelling, Derek. I mean, put it in the catalog and then until it gets debunked. It's kind of you know, but it's kind of tough, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't debunk that. I wouldn't be like, nah, that's not it. That's nothing. I wouldn't say that. But
Washington, Derek, Washington.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Derek. If you believe it's real, I'll believe it's real. Let's just go with that. If you believe it's real, we'll just roll with that, man. We will just
I mean,
roll with
I
that.
don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is if it was like reflecting off glass or something, but there's no glass for it to reflect off of in the right angle. So,
We got your back, Derek.
you know, who's to say? I mean, it looks like an electric jellyfish, if you ask me. Looks like a little jellyfish floating up there with bioluminescence.
Yeah, but where are you getting these from, Derek? That's another. I mean, because if that's another. Because you seem to have a lot of these videos, man. So I'm wondering where you're getting some of these from. Because I'll tell you what, most of that stuff they show on Think Tank on Twitter, not real.
Oh. Butter.
Derek said he sent another one, so you happen to have
Alien mummies.
getting all the goods,
Well, where's
Derek.
the alien daddy?
Oh shit. Yes, they found my mummy, but not my daddy. See, but that I don't know if I want to show this one, Derek, because they're gonna be like, if you fell for this one, it's gonna wreck your credibility, man. You sure you want me to show it? I will show it if you want, buddy.
Yeah, I've been almost convinced of free energy devices once or twice.
Yeah, but this one, let's see. I don't know, Derek. We're gonna leave it up to the audience on this one. It's not. That's the same one. Hold on. He sent this one. It's just let's see, Peruvian mummy. Okay. All right. This is because Derek wanted me to show it. I don't condone the authenticity of this video. This is not. This is Derek's view.
Look at those toes.
Yeah, this is not a Rob G approved video. Basically, what I was trying to say, Mike Bothwell.
Somebody needs to give that mummy a pedicure. What do you think, Susie B?
Yeah, you are a bot, Derek. Thanks for admitting it, dude. Remember, guys, I'm a bot android. I can link to any source of the internet. Yeah, you're a disinformation bot too, man. Giving us that video. Because if you are trying to pass this one off as another Peruvian mummy laying on a piece of paper, they don't have any real light. They just have this flashlight.
Right? Looks like it's made out of plaster of Paris. Look at that elbow. That's like one weird elbow. Why is there so much meat in the elbow? That's what I don't understand.
Oh man, Derek, are you sure you want to stand behind this one?
And the creepy toes.
Are you sure you want to stand behind that, Derek Galloway? That's the guy that was just at the hearing in Mexico. Personally, I don't think it's authentic, but it's cool video nonetheless. Okay. You should preface that then. Because I think if we would have been like, oh man, that looks real, man, is that? You would have been like, yeah, it's real.
I know it wasn't wrapped. It wasn't wrapped. It wasn't. And it had like weird flappy skin in the elbow.
It looks like, you know, when they do the when they're gonna make a mask for a person in a movie and they do the plaster mold of the head of the person. What do they call that? A death mask or something, I think is what they call it. It's kind of what it looks like. Read what I wrote in chat before you show the video. Oh, my bad. I must have not did that. I must have not did that.
What did he say? Yes, the new Peru alien. Remember, guys, I'm a bot. Yeah, we already read that. What else?
No. He was just trying to show some cool videos for conversation. Okay. That's a good. I like that, Derek. I like that. I like that.
Brown dwarf. Oh my.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap it up, man. We had a great night tonight. We're gonna get ready for tomorrow. We have medium Valentina Marie on tomorrow. You guys, I don't know if you guys have heard of her. It is a lady that I come across doing some research. She is actually a pretty interesting lady. You know, I checked out a couple of her interviews, and I think we'll have fun with her tomorrow. So this is like never heard of her. So this is like a medium weekend, basically. We had Melinda Leslie kind of touching on her mediumship, but this lady is a full-time medium. You know, and she's posted some stuff. She has a history too that you guys might be interested in. We'll talk about that during the show. But she's no stranger to the screen. I'll just say that. Mike, you know, Dave frowns on the live reading stuff. He really does. He's already said that. I'll check again though and see. But
What'd you think about a remote view tester?
what do you mean?
Didn't I send you a picture of a jar of black sand?
Oh, I don't know. You might have. I may
I
not have
sent you
seen
two
it yet.
pictures. Okay. I sent
Let
you
me look.
a jar of black sand, and that's for the psychic to detect how much is in there. And I'm not talking about the sand. There's something else in there besides sand.
Okay, let me see. I just got your dollars. I got a YouTube link. Oh yeah.
A jar of black sand.
No one is
I
interested.
said
In trust
I
me,
give
get the
this
sand back.
I put this on the table for the white elephant gift exchange, and nobody wants that jar of sand because they just think it's a jar of sand. But afterwards, I open it up, I pour out the sand, and I show the money that's inside that jar, and they're like, "Oh, I wish I took that." Oh, I bet you do, because with that money, you can buy whatever you want with it.
That white. Hey,
Yes,
that's a
yes, you
good
can.
one.
Because you just think you just think it's heavy sand, and I show you how cool it is. You can stick magnets to it. Oh, how cool is that? And then you think, oh, I'm just getting a jar of sand. What a cheap SOB. He could only afford a reused mason jar and nothing more than sand from the beach. No, 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 no.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, jump on with me tomorrow, man. Atticus.
we
Let's get the
shall.
conversation going, man.
We can talk about George, because there's something behind that picture with the dollars with the Wendy's card, just so you know.
All right. Well, I'll see you here, man.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow or later today.
Okay. Yep, yep.
Later.
Bye. Oh.
All right, guys. And my camera died, so no one won't be coming back up on camera, but I will be talking about the social dig and thanking everybody for coming by because it's been another awesome show. Want to thank Jim. Jim came in and got the party started strong. And I'm going to be talking to Jim behind the scenes so we can go ahead and try to get Jim on the after hours, try to set up a date. Definitely has some interesting stories, and it'd be cool to have him stop by and talk about some stuff. So that would be awesome. Is this a real person, Derek Galloway? Howdy McCoskey. If that's a real person, then we'll look into it. If you're being serious, email me or text me the name. And that goes to everyone out there. Anybody that you guys want to see interviewed on After Hours, let me know. Personally, let me know. And then we'll be trying to go ahead and get those people on. You can email me at mrrobg@gmail.com. Or you can maybe leave it in the comment section of this video. Either way. And I'll try to get anybody you guys want to see on, man. I'm interested in interviewing anybody that adds to the conversation. So I want to thank everybody for coming through today. It's been a pleasure actually doing this. We had a great time. Once again, thanks to Jim. Thanks to Magneticus for coming through. Thanks to Derek Galloway, Brown Dwarf, Maggie M10, Mike Bothwell, Area 51. Black Dragon, did I say Brown Dwarf? I'll say it again, Brown Dwarf. D Worm. Let's see. I'm only gonna catch a handful, I know. Who else did we have? We had Long Island Bigfoot Mike. Thank you for coming. Let's see. We had Charlie Don't Surf. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. And if there's anyone out there that isn't subscribed, come on, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, come back by. Sarah Yan, thanks for coming. We are so close to 300. Let's get past 300. Let's push towards 4. Let's push towards 5. And let's just get the word out there that this is a great place to come and talk once the after hours is done. Let's see. Okay, that's gonna be, it's too many in the chat. So what I'll do is let you know why we do this. We do this for the positive progression in humanity. That's why we have these conversations. That's why we open up the floor to ideas and concepts and new perspectives and a new way of thinking about this phenomenon that we're going through, this situation, this time in humanity. I want to thank Susie B, Deb from SAC for showing up. You know, it's been awesome. This is the Social Dig, guys. My name is Mr. Rob G, as you know. Thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your night. See you at after hours later today. You guys take care.